the pass the feather to my sister Elizabeth and Jimena, and those of you who are here to lead the Amazonia Hour. So we are recording, and please, we can always pause anytime. Just do this if you want to pause recording. Other than that, take it away, Elizabeth. Lead us.
Thank you, Jamin. Thank you, everybody, for being here. We've been in direct communication. I'm sure many of you know there's an absolute disaster happening in Manaus right now, and this word is not getting out in the world. There's less than 1,000 hospital beds in a territory that has over 2 million people. They are contracting COVID from the incursions in their territory, and it takes them basically 8 days to get out of the forest to get to a hospital. And when they get there, there's nothing there. Doctors aren't coming to their territories, and in the meanwhile, they're selling land, they're auctioning off land, they're sending in illegal miners and foresters. And they are asking for immediate help and calling for aid. So today is Friday for Futures, and Friday for Futures is aligning with ABIB and the coalition of Brazilians, other Brazilian organizations and tribes. And there's a campaign going on, and I will put basically a graphic and some text, and as far and wide as you can spread this, and encourage others to spread it far and wide. And basically it's leading to a site that they've set up in order to raise funds, to get medicines, to get doctors, to get telemedicine, to get oxygen. They don't even have oxygen in the one hospital. And so there is something we can do. Ray, said, let's roll up our sleeves and get things done. Here is something really, really simple for each one of us to do. It's like whatever we do, just even a fraction of doing something is better than nothing. And even if it's just speaking to other people about it, raises the awareness in the collective consciousness. Bolsonaro has been brought up in The Hague for crimes against humanity. Inside in Brazil, people are sort of realizing that they've been fed false narratives, which basically is that the environmentalists are the terrorists trying to control their country. And in the meanwhile, people are dying daily. And as I'm sure some of you know, there's a new variant in Brazil, which is one of the variants that is even more contagious than the original virus. So, and then the more we can get organizations, like I see Glenn here, and food healers, and organizations that are already organized to spread the word to their members, so that we can just keep spreading it out and really, so it is making a difference. The UN is now addressing it. There's been articles in the New York Times. So what we're doing is making a difference, and we just have to keep it up and keep the pressure, because we can't turn away. What happens in the Amazon does not stay in the Amazon. And there's a direct correlation between the deforestation of the Amazon and the burning in California and the Colorado and the hurricanes in the Gulf and the polar vortex splitting, and right. So it's climate disruption that is happening because we are at a tipping point. We thought we had years, but we don't. The escalation of the destruction of the Amazon has accelerated in the last 6 months, especially under the cover of COVID. And the Amazon is now at 20% deforestation and rapidly increasing. And when an ecosystem gets between 20 and 25%, it goes into basically organ failure. and things start collapsing and crashing, and it begins a desertification process from a rainforest to a woodland to a savanna to a grassland to a desert. And that's very hard to stop once that cascading systems collapse starts happening. And so the conversation is what we've known this is coming, and we've been waiting for the Brazilians to really take the lead on it, because they need to. This is their voice, this is their country, but it is not their problem. It is our problem. We're creating it. And so we have to do whatever we can to fix it, whether it's going vegan, reducing, or even just reducing, right? Or eating local meat. I know I'm speaking to the choir here, but in terms of speaking to friends, eat local meat. If you don't know where it's coming from, if you don't know, and I know I see Jamin squeaming, but we have to speak to this because we're speaking to the world, right? And I know that the Food Healers is really looking for a complete changeover, but there has to be a transition. And everybody's shaking their head, and you say to somebody, we need to save the Amazon, you have to go vegan. They go, fuck that. I don't, it's like it's something real that we have to address to just transition people. And then once they realize the impact, once you can talk to them, this is disaster relief. It's disaster relief. And what is our response? We can't manage people's blockages. We have to get critical mass. And so in order to reach critical mass, there has to be some transition. And maybe you don't even go into that conversation, but it is a critical conversation with regards to the Amazon, because it is one of the destructive impacts, the consequences to our behavior. And so when you know what audience you're speaking to when you talk to somebody about this, and we all have our response on the scale of complete veganism and complete meat eating 3 times a day, right? Somewhere in the middle, we have to get people to stop eating imported beef. That's the issue with the Amazon, is to stop people from eating from that land. And that's the issue. That's the core issue, is the degree at which our consumption of meat is destroying the life force of the water cycle of Earth. So that's my rant for this morning. And I would love to take any questions, or Jimena, if you have anything to say, or Rebecca, and go ahead and speak to veganism. I'm all for it, right? And I'm going to put in the chat the materials that you can. It's also on the Mighty Networks that we've set up. It's also at the B page. So I'm going to start putting in these links while we speak. But and then the other thing I just want to say is that we are doing the World Water Day on the 22nd, and it's a way to bridge all of this inspiration into implementation and really bring us to the point where we're taking actions. And so this is all part of it. And I love you all. I really appreciate everybody and all that you're doing, and the commitments that you make to show up here on the conversation, and Jamin and Rebecca and Jimena for your support, and Marco certainly, and Christopher, Joyce, and Roland, of course, Sir Roland, for all the support that you've given us in this, because it's been a challenge. It's really been a challenge to just deal with the Amazon, because there's a language gap, and they have trouble getting internet. They're worried about their lives, their safety. So sometimes they say they can come and then they can't come and then things change there. And so but now is like go time. And so, yeah, thank you all. I don't know if Hamina or I know Marco's been working with us, and Christopher, anybody has anything to add? Rebecca?
I do. I see, Jamin, do you want to speak first?
No. You go ahead, BJ.
Thank you so much. Elizabeth, thank you so much. I'm so grateful for your passion for this project. What I want to say is that the house is on fire, and we have to find the ways that help people understand that they can be an impact. They can have an impact. I will say that I believe at this point in time that we have to say, stop the exploitation of animals. It is causing the deforestation, which is causing the climate change. Any bit of other meat is going to be too complicated. Just stop. Here's the trees. They're cutting them down. It rids the earth of habitats for animals and all those indigenous people. It heats the earth. And immediately when people stop eating the animals, all of a sudden, they don't need to cut down the forest. They don't need to cut the brush. They don't need to shoot the predators, all the wolves that people are trying to save, and all those animals. They don't need to do that anymore. So the half measures is it complicates things. I know you're thinking of it as it makes it easier. It actually complicates it in terms of, well, what is local and what is not? And it's too complicated. I don't know. I don't know what to do. Whereas and so that's my aspect. I know for some people it will be simple because they have their local butcher they can go to. So those people, I'm not talking to. But for people who are concerned about the emergency, that we have such a little bit of time, we have to express that with love to them. But there is something they can do, and that is to stop any animal products because it uses so much of the energy in the land, and it's causing this destruction to individuals that you have talked to on the phone, and that I've talked to Silvana, who knows individuals who it's impacting. So I would say, and the other part of it is that it's not, this is egalitarian. If you can, veganism means you don't hurt animals if you don't have to. So if you're in the forest and you need to eat something, I'm not talking to you about going vegan. If you're in an island and there's fish there and that's what your food is, I'm talking to the people who have a choice to pick something else out of the grocery store than something else. I'm talking to people, even I've known 2 homeless people who say they will not participate in that. They will not participate in any meat products at all. And the aspect of the egalitarian part is you can't have just some meat who can afford the local grass-fed meat. You have to, it's either good for you or it's not good for you. It's either healthy or it's not healthy. And we know from, if you look up United Kingdom, let's see, UK cancer research meat, you'll see that it's very high in carcinogens, especially the processed meat. So I don't think at this time we need to, my point is, I don't think at this time we need to give them that out to discover. Present it with your passion that we have to do something, and little bits won't work. Even Dr. Salish Rao did a paper on the carbon, and we could have saved the planet. We may still be able to, but it's not if we just do some meat. He put the numbers in for all of the meat. You see, so we have a research that shows that will get down. I've forgotten how many gigatons of carbon. We don't have research on what if we just went halfway? What if we just ate chicken instead of beef? We don't have those numbers, but we do have the numbers that will work if we give it up. And the sooner we do it, people will start catching on, especially those people who are, like you say, who are buying that meat from Nicaragua, from Brazil. And so how to get that message to the people who are buying it most, that's, I think, what we're working on. But I just wanted to make that point from my perspective. Thank you.
Yeah, I definitely appreciate that. And I fully support food healers and your mission to do that. I know my mom and my dad will never go vegan, right? They will never go vegan, but I can talk to them and ask them to reduce their meat and to buy local. Those are things that I can do. I live with my mom. I'm not going to fight with her. And she's so like, I've had this argument with her years before. It's not an argument now that she's 90 that I want to take up with her. Right. So, we have to find our way into this, and I do fully support the message that you are putting out. So I'm not sure. I think Jamin's hand was up first, next.
I'll defer to my sister Jimena, and then I'll go, and also Marco has his hand raised. Go ahead, Jimena.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being in this meeting. Like, I have talked to the Wana Colectivo a couple of days ago. Basically Blanca, which is an agronomist and engineer, and like, people, this is not only a genocide, this is an ecocide, this is a lifeside. Like, we need to understand that this is imperative action is needed. We cannot be silent witnesses. This is an holocaust, okay? This is like if we've been living the Nazism. So we need to take action. It's a genocide, it's mechanic. I'm specialized in genocides. They replicate people. They poison their crops. They poison their rivers. They famine the people. They have this sickness right now. They don't have the access to medical equipment. Like in Mexico, we fight for an oxygen tank. Imagine them like in the middle of the jungle. They're asking us for having gasoline for their boats in order to come to us for help. Like, that's the basics. Then they are asking us, they are more willing to give than to receive. Listen to this. They are asking us for money for doing 2 videos that are going to broadcast all the situation that they are living in order for us to be aware of this. They are going to do, as indigenous people, we've been talking also with Chief Phil, which is very in touch with all the indigenous people around the world. He said they are with Luis Lugo, who is starting this international convention in order to us for understand the gravity of the situation. Like, animals extent, human extent. So we need to take action. We need to collaborate. We need to be together. And if we don't join our hearts, like, we are not even, we don't deserve the human title, okay? Because humans supposed to be human. We're a humanity. We are worried about us. If we're not worried about us, like, where are we gonna get? Yesterday, I heard some bad news that I would really like Sir Roland to tell us that, because like, he's entitled for that if he's willing to, about what would the result of the climatic situation would turn into, because we need to be so aware of that. They are hiding information, they are deceiving, they are lying to people, you know? Like, I talked to my friend directly in Brazil, that he does a lot of humanitarian work. And he said, no, that's not true, you know? Like, Bolsonaro is somehow doing some things, but others are not true. So we are hearing the people in the jungle telling the truth. Like, what else do we want? This is not the media. This is not liars. This is not people that has other interests, but them directly asking us for gasoline and for doing some videos in order to explain the situation. So yeah, I'm not only worried, I am not preoccupied. Maybe that's not the word in English, or maybe yes. I am occupied. Okay, because it's, if you only shock, if you're only like, oh, what are we gonna do, and you start like being worried only and not taking action, that is not gonna help. So we need to unite. This is an ecocide and a genocide of this century, and I really ask you with all my heart for us to be together as we have been for this 8 months. Thank you, Elizabeth, for giving me the opportunity, and thank you, Jaime, and the core team of the conversation, and everyone. You know that I appreciate you very much, and I love you very much.
Marco.
Thank you, Elizabeth. I want to touch on a couple things. Oh yeah, I want to touch on a couple things. You know, the discussion over local food is really good. We don't even have to bring meat into the conversation if that's going to be an issue of a point of contention for the person you're trying to tell about what, you know, the emergency in the Amazon now. To stress local foods is a very good first step for those that you're not going to convince to go vegan. You know, and it's not just you know, meat that's destroying the jungle. You know, it's also palm oil. Palm oil is a big factor in the jungle. Try going in the grocery store, see what you see. Go in the cracker aisle, see if you can buy a cracker that doesn't have palm oil in it. If you're eating crackers with palm oil, you're part of the problem in the Amazon too. You know, so there's many,
and all the derivatives.
yes, there's many different ways we can address the emergency, you know, for people that where, you know, being vegan will just, you know, take away the focus of the immediate problem, you know, the medical problem, the genocide and everything that's going on. There's so much misinformation, like Jimena said. It's just amazing what we can do with a little government power and connections to spin the narrative in a way that's just not true. So that's where, you know, where we come in here. That's where the conversation comes in. It's where SOS Amazonia comes in. Now we meet here for sure Mondays and Wednesdays now. Elizabeth is here. Tuesdays, you're still here, right, Rebecca? Okay, and Thursdays, Jimena, you know, we have the SOS Amazonia meetings. If you want to learn more, you know, come to these meetings and we'll tell you. We want to be the trusted source of information, and we will have, from time to time, we will have, you know, big news. In order to get that big news out in a way that it can't be stopped by, you know, any one government, any one news agency, you know, manipulate the time, the space, you know, the airwaves. You know, we have a system where each of us knows a few people and can spread the word. So we need that network intact. So if you even only have you know, 10 or 15 minutes, drop in Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 9 a.m. Pacific time here, and you can come into the Amazonia meeting. And now Fridays at 9 a.m. You know, there may be a big news, and maybe some days it won't be such big news, but at least you can get an update. And when the big news comes, you're prepared to get it out in a way where we will make the difference we need to make, where we will, you know, do away with the lies with the truth.
I'll say that from this day forward, there's going to be something to share every day. So that's really our goal, is now that they have fully organized themselves, we're just sending money directly to their campaign. Like we were trying to build a campaign ourselves, but it really needed to come from them. And so now we're funneling everything to them, and they're being fully transparent about the funding and how they're going to spend it, and so on and so forth. So it feels very clean that way. There's no middleman. It's going straight to their campaign. And so Fridays, I think because of food healers, because people are already gathering for the day on Friday, we might even move Monday to Friday so that it's capturing more attention. I'm sorry, I interrupted you, Marco. Do you want to continue?
Oh, you know, I think I pretty well, let me double check here. No, I think I'm good. I just want to once again thank Jamin for the space here, and everything he does. You know, Ray and Kelly and all the food healers, Rebecca. You know, everybody here, really, everybody deserves, you know, credit and just keep showing up, even when you can only spend 10 or 15 minutes. Show up and get as much of an update as you can. It doesn't always have to be an hour, you know, but come during those hours. We have, you know, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. We're back to 5 days a week, aren't we? All right, thanks everybody.
Yay. I would like to address quickly Ray's point here about that boycotts don't work. And I think that's a very important point. And what does work is holding people accountable. And the more that we raise public awareness, they know that the world is watching, which is why we're aligning to Fridays for Future, because their tagline is the world is watching. The youth are watching. We are watching. It's not okay. Enough is enough, right? So it's not even a boycott option. Like a boycott's kind of an option. It's a personal choice. We have to just lay down the line and say, you cannot deforest anything more. You have an obligation to the planet, to life on Earth. So it's in a different stage. We've been boycotting for 70 years, right, or more. Actually, the first boycott was in Truckee, California, where I'm from, where they boycotted the Chinese groceries and ran the Chinatown out during the gold rush days. So, you know, it's an important point that we're at a different, it's a different phase than just boycotting. It really is unifying as a species to draw the line and say, you're not rapers and pillagers all around the world. You don't get to cross this line. And how do we do that? We have to unify, truly unify. Ray, is that in response to what I just said? Okay, and then we'll go to Jamin.
So rapers and pillagers in Brazil would be the farmers that are following Jair Bolsonaro's day of fire and going out and setting fires along the roads that have plunged into the rainforest. And we can tell that they're setting the fires because that's where the fires are happening, along these industrial pathways that they're kind of carving into the rainforest. So I said I was going to play devil's advocate. If I was one of those farmers, I'm not sure if I'd really, you know, endear the arguments from the United States, who have done their deforestation already, have built their economy over the last 300 years. So it's to be it has to be a two-way street. There's really no reason for them to listen to us. And there's no way that the boycott is going to change their minds. That this, as long as the rainforest is worth more with the trees removed than it is with the trees there, then this is going to continue. And the United States, if they want to take a leadership position, it's not to bully Brazil into doing something while we do nothing. we have to regrow our forests. We have to say carbon sequestration is probably the most important thing that we need to do right now. And the most important thing to accomplish that is to get rid of the cows that we've got on here and curb our disgusting appetite for the just sucking up the world's resources to feed our middle class economy. Our definition of middle class consumption is far more disgusting than anything that you can find in Brazil.
Right.
If we don't address that, if we just say that it's okay, that everybody's culture is most important, that it's more important to get burgers onto American plates, but just make sure it's not Brazilian, then there's a problem that the rest of the world's kind of go, yeah, okay, well, what is the final solution? What is the complete picture of this scenario? So we really have to do both at the same time, is what I'm
You're
saying.
absolutely right. You're absolutely right. And we need a fundamental shift in our thinking as humans, which is why I live in the water world. It's like, but I would like to, I know Jamin, you had your hand up and you disappeared, so we'll get you when you come back. Roland, but I would like to come back to Ray's topic because I think it is essential that we speak to that as well. Roland.
Here, okay, yes. So let me say, I have Elizabeth as the queen of water and I have 1000% support for her.
Hmm.
Now, she mentioned something about accountability. Peter Kostenbaum, the most loved teacher in California system, and Peter Block, the best change agent teacher in the world, have an 800-page book called Freedom and Accountability. And so we've got, while we pursue freedom, there must be accountability. So here's why I'm here. I'm here to talk to Salish. I gave him a private message. I says, how are you doing with Ben? He didn't respond. So does anybody have Salish's email or phone number? Put it in the chat. Number two.
I'm going to address Ben, Roland. That's next on my list, Ben and John. And I'm reaching out to as many, like we really haven't been able to do that up till now because we haven't had the organization that we needed. And now that we have that, we're going to call everybody in. So, if and including Dr. Rao. So, we're thank you for that reminder and thank you for that acknowledgement.
Well, that's good.
Go ahead.
But
Keep going.
But see, I can't be involved because my daughter's involved.
Mm-hmm.
This is her client. And Ben wants to do what I suggest. Whole system transformation. Transform his top team of about 6 people, get 100 people online for 2.5 days that are not big acquaintances as happening in all the open space stuff, but really become a knit community that will set a direction for the whole world and then come back in 6, 7, 8, 9 months. Because we've already have the University of Chicago involved, one of the top 5 universities in the world, not Harvard, not Yale, okay? University of Chicago, along with Oxford, Cambridge, and another one. I've taught at Oxford, and the chair's 100 years old. And
so
and
is March 22nd, is World Water Day soon enough? Can we get it organized by March 22nd?
Get organized what?
Get the 3-day thing you want to hold together.
Well, Ben's got to lead it.
Well, then you'll have to
Right.
talk to Ben. If you're talking to me, we have an opportunity on World Water Day to do what you're suggesting.
Well, that's good, but yeah, it's almost like Yeah, World Water Day when?
March 20th to 22nd. We
March
have
20th.
Hubcast.
The only issue with that is a long time away. We're in
Well,
emergency.
not if you're planning something. It feels like it's coming up tomorrow.
Well,
For
that's
me
okay.
planning it, it feels like it's coming up tomorrow. But
Yes.
we have a global broadcast rolling on from March 20th to March 22nd. And we can incorporate your idea and I am going to talk to Ariel. And so that's part of what I want to do and would love for your guidance on that.
Good. Well, maybe you and I can talk on the side too. But can anybody give me
I have Ben's
Solish's
contact
email
number.
or phone number?
I have that rolling.
Can you just put it in the chat?
Yep.
Then I'm at peace.
Oh, beautiful.
Somebody asked me about the result of what I'm talking about. It's human extension. Human existence will go away in 8 to 10 months. If we don't act in unity now, we have 8 to 10 months. And since the large group with the 8 days of open space, it was 12. And now it's 8, and it could go down to 4.
Well, I'd like to clarify that, Roland. What we have in 6 to 8 months is the deforestation. If we go on with business as usual, the deforestation of the world's rainforests are going to go into crisis mode. And we don't know how long it is, but that is starting the process where Earth becomes uninhabitable, inhospitable, right? We don't even know when it becomes uninhabitable, but it becomes more and more inhospitable. And now is a golden window of opportunity that we have not yet reached that system's collapse, and we can still pull back from that edge and regenerate what we've lost, protect what remains, and regenerate what's been lost. And so I think it's important to, if we're truly speaking to truth, to say that we don't know. We've never been here before, or maybe we have, and Atlantis collapsed, right? I mean, who knows? But the point is that for us, we don't know what happens after 20 to 25%, but that's where we're heading. And so that is the clarion call for humanity, is to pull ourselves from the edge.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Absolutely. So, amen. Alleluia, Muhammad. Allah, as they say in China. And Wahe Guru. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare. Amen. Alleluia. I'm complete. I'm going to leave.
Beautiful. Thank you, Roland. I appreciate your words and your wisdom.
Yeah.
So I think Jamin is next.
Thank you, Elizabeth, and everyone. I just want to make the point that about this notion of kind of compromising, because there are some people that won't go vegan. Therefore, we basically encourage them to buy local meat. Number one, the time for half measures is over. Number two, this idea of compromising because there's someone out there that, doesn't want to go all the way, reminds me of like these Democrats who say, oh, we need to compromise and not hold the fascists account for the coup attempt, et cetera, and for putting kids in cages. Let's compromise here, compromise there. I think it's just completely the wrong approach for so many reasons. I think we need to take our stand, and I think we need a battering ram in which to blast this message into the mind. And I know of no better battering ram than food healers. It's very action oriented. It starts feeding people plant-based foods, gourmet plant-based foods, these gourmet stews that we can create, and make that the story. And if there are some people that don't want to go vegan, that's their choice, but let's not make it easy for everyone to not go vegan, by somehow giving a mixed message that it's okay to eat meat as long as you eat local. Because here's the thing, that local meat is being fed by grains and soybeans grown in these deforested areas. So this whole idea that local meat is okay, it's not okay.
So I'm
Right.
going to take that just a layer deeper. In the Amazon, they're growing soybean, they're cutting down the forest, they're stripping the land for palm oil, for soybean, for cattle grazing. That can grow back. What is most destructive is the mining. They strip all of the topsoil, they go 100 feet deep into the ground, and they destroy everything and leave toxic shit for no one to clean up. That is to supply our technology. So what kind of boycott are we going to do for our cell phones and for our computer and our Zoom meetings and our, right, and our 5G and our technological drive that's spreading the planet faster than anything? So that's another
That's
thing. That's
inaccurate.
not,
There's 90% of the Amazon deforestation is due to agriculture.
I
just have to
understand
correct the
that.
mistake.
I understand that, but the mining is still, and it will only amplify if
Mining
we
is
take
less than
away the
10%,
cattle.
though.
The mining
Less than
is like,
10%.
okay, how do we make money? I mean, we
And
don't
you
pay
just
attention.
devalued the rainforest. You've said that you could just grow it back. You can't just grow it back. This
It
is just
will
false
grow back
information.
in time. It will.
These are talking points against the idea of agriculture has to be suppressed. Agriculture has to be suppressed.
I'm not
Here,
saying it's
as much
not,
as it does in Brazil.
I'm not saying it does not need to be suppressed, and I'm also not saying that it's okay to eat meat if the grain itself is being, I'm not saying that.
You
But
said
I'm
that
also saying that if
mining
you're
is
going
worse.
to that
That's not
extreme,
true.
I'm also saying that if you're going to that extreme, we have to hold our own selves accountable for our technology and the mining that is happening
For our
to
own beef
support our
consumption.
technology.
For own beef consumption. It's a global issue. So global beef is the issue. So I understand your position. You're talking about outreach when you're talking to your mother. But if we are setting rules for the boomers and the greatest generation, that's a slap in the face to millennials and the newer generations that are going to be inheriting this earth. We don't set rules based on the least common denominator. We need serious rules to think about what is the future that we want, not make things comfortable for seniors.
I appreciate that. I'm not, you're putting words into my mouth.
Well, I'm in the same boat. I can't talk to my mother-in-law. My
Right.
father-in-law was a hunter fisherman. There's not that much.
Right. It
I'd be
definitely
able
is
to
a
convince them.
generational thing. And
But there's
the
no way
more,
I'd make policy based on their opinions.
I'm not asking for you to make policy based on the
I'm
generation
making that
that's going to
distinction
be
between
dead.
outreach,
They're going to be
talking to
dead.
people. You find the best that you could expect from the person in front of you. This is vegan outreach is all about this, where you're one-to-one. You're trying to figure out this person in front of you. We're talking about a systemic thing that what is the world that we need? What are the rules that we need to make this world work? And that's a totally different domain. It's a systemic domain, which is really good in a sense that we could try to make the rainforest more valuable than oil. Kelly catered an event for orangutans, and they didn't talk about palm oil once the entire presentation. We talked to them afterwards. I said, "Oh, you didn't mention palm oil at all?" And they said, well, it's basically down to that orangutans don't have any value in our lives. The rainforest doesn't have any value in our lives. If you stop palm oil, they'll just switch to whatever's next. They'll keep deforesting. Right. You won't save a single tree because they will move to whatever's next. As long as there's corruption, as long as we just allow human venture to trump absolutely everything that has to do with the environment.
If we don't heal the delusion of separation, if we don't heal our delusion of separation, then nothing we attempt will affect anything because they just keep moving on. So fundamentally, it's a change of our thinking and our perception as a species on the planet. Mm-hmm. That is the core fundamental, that we are one life because there's only one water. And when we can get to that core switch, you know, I've been saying the same thing for 12 years. And only now, after 12 years, I'm saying there's a transition period. Only now, after 12 years, are people going, oh, I get it. Suddenly, the world looks different when I see it from that lens. And when we can see the lens from whole systems transformation and know that what we do in my neighborhood in California is going to impact the Amazon, is going to impact the Great Lakes, is going to impact the Arctic, then we begin committing and putting the rolling up our sleeves, as you say, and getting to work. And that's how we get it to care, because orangutans do matter, just as all life matters, you know, and to really live that way is a challenge until we can switch that lens to understand that none of us are separate.
But the beef problem has to be solved on a global
I
level. It can't
absolutely
just
agree
be,
with you.
it
I
can't just be
don't-
Brazil.
Yeah, I do not support beef anywhere in the planet, really, right? So I'm with you with that. But I'm
How are
also,
we going to solve it here?
how do we solve it here? We have to solve it here. We have to address it here. Right, absolutely. And we have to address it in our own watersheds, in our own communities, and even in our own families as best we can, right? But it truly is a generational thing. And that's why we need to really allow the youth to lead this, because we're their future, not the other way around, right? The choices we make in our generation, we're creating their future. What kind of future are we creating for them? You know, we can't just say, oh, they're the future, and then exploit everything and leave them with nothing.
There's just too much narrative where there's Americans saying, you know what the problem is? It's Brazil. It's the Amazon.
That's not at all what I'm saying. So
I know. We have a, woke community here that understand what's going on, but you can't deny that's what's happening is the Amazon's burning, and maybe people will realize it's for the purpose of meat and agriculture. And those are the people that are really paying attention. Most people just kind of associate it with, they get the narrative that it's the lungs of the planet, but the forests in North America are also part of the lungs of the planet. And we've deforested them over 300 years. So if we want to make forests the topic, we have to kind of lead by example and say carbon sequestration is important. Keeping the carbon in the Amazon is important, and maintaining biodiversity. It's the densest biodiversity closest to the equator in the rainforest.
And that's the biodiversity everywhere. The reason why the Amazon is important now is because of its mass, right? As you say, the amount of sequestered carbon that is in the Amazon and the rate at which it's being deforested. I mean, I'm working in Guinea, West Africa, and the same thing is happening at an even greater rate, but nobody knows about it. So it's like a first task. It's not the only task. There's so much that we have to deal with, but the primary thing we have to deal with is being able to change our minds and change our thinkings and change the way we deal with life on Earth. And that includes that all life matters. Not just all human life, but all life.
And especially in the country where we live, because that's where we have influence.
Especially because we are the greatest consumers, but the rest of the world's catching up pretty fast, following our model.
There's probably nothing more alarming than that, because the FAO talks about how do we meet this demand for meat that we've created, and we've created it. We are the ones that have set the bar for middle class consumption. So now China wants to eat like the United States. Just that in itself would destroy this planet. That's like 4 planets worth of consumption, and they're not saying stop it. They're not saying curb this appetite. They're going, how do we meet it? It's going to be a problem trying to meet this consumption. And this is our United Nations. This is, our bodies that are trying to solve problems. That's
Right.
not the problem we solve. How do we feed everybody meat?
So I think, thank you, Ray. And I think Lucas was next and then Rebecca, if I'm watching the hands correctly. Go ahead, Lucas. You're on mute, hon.
Thank you. Yeah, basically, one of the things I noticed when it came to cognitive dissonance, or having it where we explain an idea and it is received well by others, oftentimes stereotyping, or having it where would, should, or could phrases, as well as everyone, no one, or everything phrases, causes it so that the mind instinctually becomes defensive.
Mhm.
And that oftentimes when we explain an idea, it can help a lot if we use words like, well, some people feel this way, and others feel this way. And yeah, I found it it helps a lot with de-escalating arguments or dissonance.
So true. Thank you. And the other thing is when we preach gloom and doom, we just shut down and say, there's nothing I can do. There's nothing I can do. This is such a huge problem. I don't know how I can make a difference. So I might as well, play the fiddle as Rome burns. And so keeping hope and really emphasizing that we have a solution. We do have solutions. We do have a window of opportunity. We do have a chance to affect change, right? And really emphasizing the hope, especially, I feel that's our responsibility for the young people, is because they're living in a world with very little hope. And so we have to shine it. We have to unearth it and let it, let it really shine for them and help them see it and help them celebrate it. And yeah, so thank you for that wisdom, Lucas.
At the same time, I don't think we have a problem that people have confronted the problem and it's become overwhelmed. There are demographic of people that are like that, but I think the biggest demographic is apathy. The ones that don't believe that there's a problem. So the idea that we need to resist the doom and gloom so that people aren't scared, so we can approve more apathy.
It's delivering the truthful message, the hard-hitting truthful message with a perspective of hope. It's not denying what's happening so that we don't have to upset people. I think for me, and that's the way I do my best to approach it. Rebecca.
Thank you. This weekend at the Convergence, I led a group of 4 people that were healing people with food, and they're healing them with plant-based diets. 2 of them are nurse or clinicians that way. And one of them does restaurants and veg fests and that sort of thing. That was Nigel Wright Brown. And then the 4th is a Mohawk indigenous person who has a radio program and speaks to the indigenous people about being vegan when it comes up. And all 3 of them, it was a fascinating discussion. But at one point I just said, well, what do you say to your communities that you're working with when they know that, when you know that our world is crashing, that by 2026 we may not have any wildlife and so many things are going on. And they each came up with the same thing, which is you have to speak with love to the person you're with and solve what they have. Because their communities, some of the ones that were there were speaking with people who were sick and ill with diabetes, who were, injured, who were those kind of things. Can't remember the other ones. Those were the ones that stood out to me. And it's true, you have to speak to the people where they are. If they've got food around like I do, I can go to the grocery store if I want to. That's one kind of conversation. And if they're ill and sick, as one person said, they may not even, they're not going to be worrying about 5 years from now. They're worrying about, are they going to be here tomorrow? Mm-hmm. And so I just wanted to bring that up. And one of the strongest words I think we can use for action is no, no, thank you. When somebody offers me something that is animal parts, I can say no, thank you, without any judgment on what they're doing. And then they can ask, why not, or why not? And then, anyway, so I just wanted to mention that. And the final thing I want to do is show you a chart that I was inspired by Dr. Rao's showing, oh gosh, I don't know if it's on there or not. Do you see it?
We're
Yes,
seeing like,
Yeah.
we're seeing your desktop, I think. We're seeing
or your
Facebook.
or your Facebook page.
Oh, okay, let me try again. Huh. Oh, I thought this was the one I was doing, was just the photo. Still seeing Facebook?
No, that's the
No, now we
chart.
see it. Now we see the chart. Thank you.
Okay, okay, great, thank you. So this chart, the numbers are from the IPCC, the most recent numbers from 2019. And Ray helped me with the images, and our whole climate healers put comments into this. But what I want to show you, this is one of the things that I used when I talk to people just about what do you think about animal ag, and they say, well, it's the plants. Well, look at all this grazing land that is for the plants. 37% of all ice-free land is used for grazing animals, and half of the cropland is used for feeding animals. So that helps somebody put in perspective about how much of the world is spending and consuming and using on for animal based. And all of that land is coming out of this skinny little section here, which is 9% of the land is forest. And then you can see this, the logging, the unused land like deserts and mountains. And then down here at the cities, when people say, well, it's the cities that are growing, because around here we see a lot of growth in cities. So people think, well, that's what's causing deforestation, but really it's this. And when I asked Dr. Rao, because I was wondering about the woodlands where I live, around central Texas, we have hills and woods. He said that the scientists used, when they were collecting their data, their criteria was if 10% of the land was covered with trees, they called it forest. So that means you can have a piece of land with only 10% on it and it's considered forest. So these are untouched forests here. They have not been, well, they're untouched, or they only have 10% forest left on them. And every time somebody says, I'm going to do grass-fed beef, every time somebody says, oh, I'm going to do some regenerative agriculture, if they cut down, if they cut down new forest, it's cutting down on this forest land. And that seems to help people understand that we can't keep doing this. And then look at this little piece over here, if you don't mind me going on. Raise your hand if you're ready for me to stop. Okay, so this little piece up here that says humans, that makes so much, 1.39 gigatons of food. That's your plants and seeds and nuts and fruits. And it takes all of this land here, all of the cropland and the grazing land, to make 0.19 gigatons. And so what happens to all that? It's being wasted. It's ground up, it's thrown away, it's processed, it's using electricity, it's all waste. And all this land makes that much. So when somebody says, well, yeah, but you're killing a lot of plants if you're eating plants, yeah, but look at all this land, which could easily feed the rest of the world here just by turning this plant food into animal food. So I was looking for a diagram. That's why I created this, was I was looking for a way to show dramatically, which thanks Ray for the animals, to help show what we're doing and what we could be doing.
Rebecca, can you put that chart in? Do you have that on a drive that you can share a link for that?
Yes, I will do that in some way.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing, even, I understand what you're saying about the percentages, but, even agriculture, industrial agriculture is just, degenerating of the land. And so the more we can support local farmers and regenerative communities and businesses, we're creating a resiliency in our communities that, we create our own systems, right? In Buckminster Fuller, you don't change a system by fighting what it already exists. You change it by creating a system that makes the old system obsolete. And even to the degree of meat, if you don't know your farmer, then you have no guarantee where that beef has come from, whether it says it's grass-fed or not. So unless you know your farmer and you've gone to your farmer and you trust that source, and it's the same with everything that we have, and the more, it really is the globalization that has driven this. And it's not to say that I don't love the planet and want to know everybody on the planet, all across the planet, but in terms of us shipping strawberries from Chile, right, to California or whatever it is, because we want it in the wintertime, none of that makes any sense for the planet. And so the more we can really support our own communities and our own watersheds, the more we're in keeping with the natural order and the natural law of the water cycle. I have to run, and I really thank everybody for this time. I see Kate has just come on. Hello, Kate. I'm sorry that I have to go, but I have to take care of my local land and go out and do some land work.
Thank you so much, Elizabeth.
I love you all.
Love you too, sister. And we'll see you soon.
All right.
Great conversation, everyone.
This is being recorded, Jamin. Is it possible to get, maybe can we stop this recording and start again so we have a break in it and we know where it is?
Absolutely, absolutely. Yep, I'll post it as SOS Amazonia, right?
Thank you, love. Yep.
You got it. Will do.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank
Great.
you,
Thank you.
Hamina. Thank you, Marco. Thank you, Ray. Lucas, everybody. Joyce, Kate.
All righty. Any last announcements or anything related to SOS Amazonia for the recording before we shift gears to the next segment? And okay. Any last comments? I see Sarah had her hand up, and so does Lucas and BJ. Go ahead. We're still recording on SOS Amazonia.
I just wanted to, when that triggered me to remember when she said the strawberries, imported strawberries, that I was thinking a lot about this last night, because people want to buy imported cheeses. The dairy importation of the cheeses is one of the biggest atrocities to me, because people were thinking, oh, I have grass-fed cows from Brazil, so my cheese will taste better. I have whatever, sustainable. But I feel like somehow we have to get into the laws where if we're not allowed to travel to these countries, then why is food allowed to travel from these countries and we're not? So they're just taking COVID and bringing it over here. That's what they're doing. They're spreading COVID through the food system. And I just wanted to say that, whether you believe it or not, but I mean, it seems pretty obvious.
All righty. Thank you, Sarah. And Lucas, any last comments on the Amazon before we shift gears?
I was just going to say about the COVID stuff, medications, people who are becoming afflicted with it. I've read quite a few studies now on how vitamin C and vitamin D helps with restricting the long-term damage in the lungs from occurring. And so if you are coming down with the sickness, eat your oranges, consume vitamin C, vitamin D, different minerals, and it should help with long-term damage.
Beautiful. Oh, Christopher, yes.
Yeah, I just wanted to add with what we were talking about there for the past 20 minutes or so, perhaps longer. I've been vegan fully for over 3 years, and I take the approach myself personally. I don't know if this is the right approach, but sort of the soft, I just live my life, and I'm not very active in trying to convert my friends directly. I sort of just, I offer them the information, but I don't say, like, this is what you have to do. And I've had reservations about that being my mode of existing. I don't know if that's the best way to to help speed up this process that we all know needs to happen. But I have had some friends of mine who are in the process of converting or who have eventually converted, who expressed along their pathway, thanks for not being, that I forget, one of them said, that vegan asshole, that tells you you have to do this, a certain way. And I was like, this is just the way I do it. I bring that up because I don't know what the answer is. The two narratives that we were talking about there previously. I don't know if it's best to say, hey, we've got to drop meat completely in order to get folks like Elizabeth's mom to come to the table. And in that not knowing, I'm wondering if it's best within our circles to not have a circular firing squad where we shoot at each other and we say, either way works. For me, it's like, I'll take the asymmetric approach, asymmetric warfare, as a metaphor, and get people to sort of lower their meat consumption coming from the Amazon rainforest, if that's the starting point, if that's the crack in the shell, and eventually, that brings them closer. If that's going to be better than them seeing me as an asshole and not doing anything, if they just see me as being religious about it. I am religious about it in my own life, but I don't want that to turn somebody else off. Then again, if being strong about it is a better approach, if it gets more people, then maybe that's the approach to go with. But I think both sides have something to say, and I think it helps to sort of rest in the not knowing of which side wins out in that argument. I don't know. I don't think it's immediately clear which side has the answer, and I'm just trying to say that it's best to sort of use both approaches while we don't know. Thanks.
It's kind of
All right, Sarah.
refers to what I was talking about with the outreach, when I was discerning between talking to somebody and trying to convince them to change their lives. We have a great resource here in that we're talking about systemic changes of society. So the individual doesn't matter anymore. What is happening to the world is what becomes more important. And that takes a lot of the pressure off, because when you talk to somebody and say, I think the world's going to go vegan in 6 years, they can decide whether they agree with me or not. And chances are that they're going to disagree with me, but I didn't put pressure on them. I didn't say you have to do it. I didn't say you have to go vegan now. And in fact, our Veganabler concept is to change the world vegan so it's easy for people to do. So who would resist that? Who would say, yeah, stop doing that? It's changing the society to make it easy for people to make the right decision. And Vegan World 2026 is basically a bet that we're going to be vegan by 2026. So you could be part of that or not part of that. If you discover that most of the world is vegan by 2026, do you pile on? Do you see, yeah, this is a real thing and join? Or do you decide that you're part of that resistance that wants to, doesn't see any merit in it, because the merit is immediately evident. So outreach usually is the reason why people are against veganism. And I caution against characterizing vegans as being pushy. I have to tell you that the meat eating population is extremely pushy, suppressingly so. And they pretend that there's no bias. They pretend that vegans are very biased, but they're not. because they're part of the status quo. And I have to nip that in the bud every time I hear it, because there's a thing called carnism, and it's this invisible belief. And it's more dangerous than the vegan bias because it's invisible and people don't believe it exists, but it does. So, I mean, whoa, so many different topics we could go to there, but I just wanted to kind of blanket that over.
Beautiful. All right, Sarah's been waiting patiently, followed by Jamin. Go ahead, Sarah.
Just to touch on what Christopher was saying, I do think that we do need to have, a certain softer approach to some and most individuals because they are addicts. You just have to remember who your audience is, because we were there once too. Most of us, or maybe none of us, were born vegan. However, we do need to tell people that this is an emergency. This is a crisis, especially after what happened at the US Capitol. And it feels like all the eyes are watching now. And now that we just heard about the Brazilian rainforest stuff, we kind of need to be like what Ray said, hey, you know what? We're going to have a vegan world by 2026. Look, not everybody's going to be vegan, but it's going plant-based. And you just have to kind of tell them, because of the climate, you just tell them about the weather. I mean, it's pretty obvious that 1 + 1 = 2. However, most people think that 1 + 1 = 3 because they are taught that. They are brainwashed completely and wired totally. It's a whole psychological thing, and the foods that they are eating are actually causing them to be. That's what it is. It's this whole cycle of addiction. So I do believe that Dr. Rao is correct. We have to have a new system. We cannot try to fix the system that we're in. It's just not going to work. And people are not even accepting that. People will not accept that. Even with this GameStop stock thing that they went crazy in the hedge fund, people were going crazy. I myself was like, oh my God, that's my retirement money. And I'm only almost 50. So I'm thinking, I have to have that money immediately almost. So that's what I'm saying, is that we need to tell people, like, this is no joke. This is like legit happening. And if you think that it's going to go away, it's not. So people are just continually thinking, oh, I'm going to get this vaccine, it's going to go away, and I'm not going to get COVID anymore. And then they keep coming out with variants. So we kind of have to tell people, look, Mother Nature is really mad at us, and we're not listening. And like Dr. Rao said, no, we are not listening. And she keeps giving us all the warnings. Now we're getting more warnings, another variant. So how many more variants of the same, whatever you want to call it, are we, until people are going to wake up? That's really why we need to implement the food healers thing ASAP. Oh, and this dog just barked saying yes.
Heck yeah. Beautiful. All right. I just wanted to throw in my 2 cents. Per the Buckminster Fuller wisdom, don't try to change people's minds or the way that they think. Give them a new tool. Food healers is a new tool. So I'll share a couple slides. Most of you have seen these, but there's some folks who haven't. So I'm just going to quickly share some slides about the big idea of, for me, this is the center of food healers, is feeding everyone plant-based foods, just making it absolutely broadly available. Imagine we build towards a big launch in Los Angeles, right, where we're buying massive quantities of foods. Obviously, the ideal is to get these locally grown. In LA, very urbanized. It's a bit of a challenge. So we start with buying, right? And we can buy them extraordinarily economically if we buy them in volume, right? These lentils from Canada, 7 cents a pound if you buy them straight from the farm. With prices that low, I make the point, food is essentially free. It's now a matter of logistics. So get the food in massive quantities, truckloads, cook them in massive quantities. Sarah, thank you so much for starting with your kitchen. We got to start with what we got and maybe build towards something larger scale before we then go back to local scale. But these are images of big industrial rice cookers, for example, that just spit out trays of rice every minute. Then the idea is, so we cook, the rice, the beans, the potatoes, cook that which needs to be cooked, and then cool it down to close to freezing. The produce should stay cold literally from the moment it's harvested in the field. Keep it cold wash it, chop it, blend it in with the other now cooled ingredients, cooled cooked rice, cooled beans, cooled cooked potatoes, blend it all cold. And then you have this cold stew, which maintains its nutritional value. And then it can be shipped cold. And imagine these are cruising around LA, right? What a statement. And the press conference that we can do to launch this, and all the vegan celebrities that the vegan community in LA, what a beautiful community is so plugged into. It'll look like food from the future. What, did this come down from a spaceship? No, it's food for the future. So with this as a tool, and then everyone will say, wow, see, but we can make the message not, hey, we're here to preach to you. No, we're here to give you food, right? We're here to feed the whole community nutritious, immune boosting, plant-based foods. And they'll say, well, you know, what's that all about? Well, look, once they eat it, they'll say, wow, this is so delicious. This is so, you know, fulfilling, right? What's the word? So satisfying, right? And they'll be just so grateful that they'll keep eating it and keep eating it. And next thing you know, huge swaths of Los Angeles are vegan without ever having intended to be, right? Because we gave them a tool that changed their lives. Now, another big facet of this is that when people see how efficient this is, people love to donate money to things that are very efficient. If I can donate $1,000 and that'll produce 5,000 meals, oh my goodness, I feel really good about that, right? And you know, once a homeless person came up and wanted like $100 so they could spend the night in a hotel, you know, that didn't have that same kind of efficiency. But if I can donate $100 and feed 500 people, now you're talking, right? So I really believe that once we make this a story, think of the story for a minute that we can generate, the story of Los Angeles. They're feeding everyone in LA. Wow, free food, plant-based, yada, yada. Imagine what's going to happen to crime. Imagine what's going to happen to the spread of disease. People will be able to stay at home, or even if they're in a tent, they'll be able to stay in their tent, but we can dramatically stop the spread of COVID. Imagine what will happen to people's happiness, to a sense of peace, a sense of belonging, a sense that the community is taking care of me and all of us. I think we can do a renaissance, a local renaissance in Los Angeles. And Ray, thank you so much for offering up Toronto as well. I'm not saying stop in LA, I'm saying start in LA because it's the media capital of the world. And between programs such as Jane Unchained, Jane will come along, she'll come around. Once she sees it and sees how beautiful it is and what everyone's talking about, people will talk about the miracle of LA. And then every city around the world will want it, and for very good reason. That's the Buckminster Fullerian tool with which we can transform humanity. And Sarah, you got your hand up, so go for it.
Well, I think one area that we could definitely excel in, and what we really do need to not ignore, besides the Brazilian rainforest burning down, is right here in our backyard. I'm driving every day and I have to go under this one, passway, and it's like huge amount of homeless, houseless persons there. So LA has become, the Venice Beach right now is an embarrassment to this city. It is outrageous how many houseless people. And these people say, oh, they want to be houseless. You know, some people choose that life. And let me tell you, no, 99.9% of these people do not choose this life. I promise you, they don't want to live like this. I feel so sad every night when I go to bed thinking about how they're out there still and I want to bring them food. So my idea really is I'd like to start with that community and small groups like that, where I already know where they are and I can bring them food. And if they don't want it, that's fine. But I think we could do a media thing on it, but I think at first we should just try to give them the food out of the kindness of our hearts, because I always see these people and I'm like, man, I just wish I could just walk up to that person. I used to feed people like this in Atlanta. I used to buy vegan food for this one guy that I used to see all the time and, take pictures with them and stuff. But this is more of like, we need to do it as a humanitarian effort in my sense, because it's not about publicity. Yes, we need to announce it. And I know all the vegan people are going to get on board. I mean, Kat Von D 100% will donate. I mean, my thing is I want to go ahead and figure out, okay, how do I go to the grocery store and get, or like downtown, my friend goes to this vegetable market on Fridays, and it's like all organic and buys like loads of, he always gives me all this food. And I'm just like, what am I going to do with all boxes of carrots and it's all organic? And I'm like, wow. But I don't want to cook, cook for this for myself. But I would like, wow, I could cook all this food and have huge countertops and we have a Sub-Zero fridge in my kitchen. I could just put all of that, like you said, but I would need someone to help me get it implemented. So I've done this before on a large scale in Atlanta, but not like you're talking about, but just on a small scale is what I'm saying. And it really does work. And people will eat the food. People are driving through bowling alleys getting the worst possible crap you could think of. They are going to eat this, but I don't even think we need to make it so glamorous. I think we need to make it real about the people, because that's the story, is the people are hungry and everyone's hungry. It's not just the people that are living under that bridge or the people that are, there's people like children, obviously we know that are not going to school and they're hungry. So all these kids are hungry. And they're passing all these federal laws about how they can give all this free food to the people that aren't getting their, supplemental, I guess, food stuff. But here's the thing. How many of those parents are actually really giving their kids the nutrition food they need to get, because they're getting crap food? We need to go into those communities of color, and we've got so many vegan stars here that go, like Nipsey and all those people that can go into those Crenshaw areas and stuff and feed these people that are really hungry. The people that really need this food are like, they're starving. And they're also really unhealthy. And you know what? You could link this movie to the premiere of They're Trying to Kill Us, since that Dr. Rao is one of the producers. And that's about African-American community. They're trying to basically kill them because they don't put healthy foods, grocery stores even, there's not even healthy grocery stores in these neighborhoods. They're going to liquor stores to buy their kids food. That is not cool. That is not right. This isn't just in that neighborhood. It's in all neighborhoods, because we are very gentrified in LA. But I'm just saying, like, even the most richest area in Venice Beach, it's crazy how much, it is really, really, and people aren't realizing that it's not going to get better. We are just getting hotter and we are just getting hungrier. So we have to figure out something like really soon. So what is your next, let's say, what's the next step? Like, who has a budget? Like, does somebody give me like, or I go to like wherever and get all the food, and they like Venmo me the money, and then I start making all the food and everything, because I wear gloves and all that protective gear and all that stuff. But like, that's the thing, is that we need to make sure it's in a certified plant-based kitchen, which I can maybe get Carissa, who's from she has that certification now. She can certify everybody's plant-based kitchens. It could be just certified as food healers. You can just get the food healer certification. And she's Carissa Kranz, she's a lawyer out of Miami, and she's got the only vegan certification in the world right now. And she's certifying like big, huge corporations and small companies. But that's just my input. I'm really anxious to get started on it as soon as possible, because I have the time.
Well, I will definitely contribute to that, Sarah. I need to talk with family and whatnot, so I can't just make these decisions on my own. But I am definitely in, and because we can buy whole sacks full of rice, beans, lentils, etc., and start this. And then with your connections with the produce market, this could be very, very efficient, right? And we'll just kind of start there, start as we can, put the word out that, hey, vegan volunteers, yeah, nice alliteration there, vegan volunteers. And I love the idea of doing Venice Beach. I was there in my full Darth Vader costume in the summer of 2018. sweating like a pig, doing my Darth Vader routine, protesting the criminal drug cartels. And so I know Venice is it's a great place for that. And we could do it. So we bring it in bulk. Welcome, Ananda. We're wrapping up the Amazonia, talking about food here, and then we'll shift gears in a moment. I think Venice Beach is a really great place for that. What I'm thinking is, what if we also got a whole bunch of like, ceramic bowls that we could get at, thrift stores or wherever, donated. See, we'll ask for donations for bowls and stainless steel spoons. And then at Venice Beach, there's so much communal stuff that's happening. Somebody can step up and volunteer to do a washing program, right? So that we have so it's totally sanitized. Bring your dirty bowls back here, we'll wash them. And then when, twice a day or whenever we come with the stew, we'll fill you up, right? Bring a pot, bring whatever, we'll fill you up, And so everyone knows there's now free food in Venice. Venice Beach is the perfect place to start. I love it, Sarah. So count me in. And I think once we start, I think the donations are just going to come pouring in. And I don't think we're going to lack for funds or volunteers. Vegan LA, let's think up the memes, so that we just get this meme going out there. Food Healers LA, vegan volunteers, The vegan community will step up. I have no doubt. I see it here every day. Yes, Sarah.
Well, I was just going to say, I have my own group called Vegan Volunteers. It's a Facebook page. That's been my group for a long time, since I've been volunteering for animal rights since 2009. So yeah, I already have my own group called Vegan Volunteers. I don't even like the name of Vegan Volunteers. I really like Climate Healers Los Angeles, which we already have that page, but I really like what you just said, Feed LA or something like that. It's just, I don't even think you should call it Feed LA. We already have the name Food Healers, So, I mean,
totally.
Call it Feed LA for the Food Healers or something like that.
Or just Food Healers LA. Food Healers LA.
Yeah.
To kind of localize it, I think would be cool. Anyway, Sarah, I think you and I were separated at birth. So I don't know, Ananda, don't go away. We're about to shift gears. Unless you need to go, of course, but please don't go away because we're talking about something other than ICIC. We were just waiting for you.
Oh, no,
So
I need to take care of something real quick and I'll be right back in just a few.
Oh yeah, and then just let us know when you're back, and then we'll shift gears to
Okay.
ICIC. We're happily overtime. Alan's got his hand up. Go for it, Alan.
It was to Climate Healers. Was that Claire or Sarah? I can't remember the name. Anyway, talking about volunteers and where we're going to get the free food from. Obviously, the best way is donated land and volunteers working to produce it. But an interesting idea is there was a movement of, we often think that the billionaires are the problem, but there was a movement of billionaires and millionaires secretly donating to a charity called Global Village Champions. And their goal was to feed the entire world. And it was no donations from the public. It was all millionaires and billionaires. Muhammad Ali was one of them. There's two other ones that let their names be known that I know of, but apparently there was lots and lots behind the scenes hiding. So sending out letters of any way or any possible to try and reach them and find out who's willing of them to help. There might be donations from there because they've got plenty of money to spare.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we're tapping into something, which is people want to do the right thing, and people often like to be recognized for doing the right thing. And so we'll certainly be open to donations. I think a lot of generous people in LA will donate, and then we can recognize them. And of course, if they want to donate, anonymously, we'll respect that as well. But I really think Jane Unchained will come around. In fact, she started to come around on her last radio program. At first, she's like, no. And then she's like, maybe. And, the door was opening. You could just see it, right? And especially with Silas and you, Sarah, and all of us, I think it's going to be a stampede, right? But somebody needs to start it, right? Somebody needs to yell the first, yeehaw, and then boom, off we go. So this is just waiting to happen. Ray's already got his microphone. I mean, you can just see people mobilizing in front of our very eyes. That's it. Thank you. You got your own Jane Unchained microphone. No, Jane will get on board, and when she gets on board, oh my goodness, the rallying cry that'll go out, right? So, and in fact, I'm kind of putting out the meme right now, right? Recruit Jane, right? Recruit Jane Unchained for this.
Well, we also, Jane lives right next to Venice Beach, so it's not going to be like somewhere she's going to have to travel. But my point is that we already are having like we have some type of an animal rights march on February 14th on that Sunday on Venice Beach Walk at 11 a.m. And we all have so many volunteers already that are vegan that already serve homeless food, houseless people food downtown. It's like every Sunday or something like that. So we have to find out like is it going to be I don't know if it's going to be an everyday thing, but it's going to be the delivery part is where I'm trying the logistics really, because getting all the food made and packing it up and all that stuff, we can handle that. I have friends and they're all vegan activists and they want to do this. And they could come over to my house or whatever and help. But with COVID, I also have friends that have plant-based kitchens. I have a vegan activist client in Beverly Hills and she's a vegan kitchen. And she said, we can use her kitchen. She's got double ovens. She's got huge, it's like a, state of the art chef's kitchen where you can have those, what you're talking about, 4 stock pots at one time. Okay, so that's a big distribution area in Beverly Hills and you can get to people that need it. And like I said, we have all the resources here. We just need to implement it. It's really just basically, should we apply for a grant through Veg Fund and get $10,000 worth of food? We have to have we have to do this. It's just so obvious. It's just like being in the Girl Scouts. You're just doing a project for the Girl Scouts. That's how I think of it. It's just another project I'm doing for Girl Scouts, and I'm going to feed people. I'm going to get my food healers patch.
Well, count me in, Sarah, and I am going to commit that this will not stop for lack of funds. That there will always be funds to buy all the food that's needed. So as much as you can cook, that's how much we're going to buy. And then we put the call out to vegan volunteers. Do you have a van? Do you have a truck you can help transport? One of the great things about Venice Beach, for those of you who haven't been there, and I know this because I went there with my Darth Vader activism and all that, is if you get there early enough, there's all these, 10 foot by 10 foot just spaces. You don't reserve them. It's just first come, first serve. You set up. So as long as we get there early, or there's a volunteer who gets there early and puts up the sign that says food healers here, starting at 10 a.m. or whatever, free food for all. Imagine we do a creative sign that helps, convey the message. People will line up and we'll have a whole safe social distancing and all that. You got to wear a mask. You got to, come with your own container. Now, and again, we'll get the ceramic bowls and the donated, silverware and all that, return it once you're done using it. What are they going to do? Hoard the ceramic bowls? I don't think so. So, we'll have another space, can be a washing station. We'll get the tubs, they've got the fresh water there. So I think we've got everything we need there in Venice to really make a splash. We've got the concentrated people right there. They'll line up, voila. And then we can do a similar thing in Beverly Hills itself, right? Find an appropriate space for it so that it's not just seen as, just food for houseless or whatever. This is for everyone, right? And then once people in Beverly Hills start, you're donating food? What's going on? They'll start donating money and donating time. I really think you're right, Sarah. Sarah, you are, I think, the perfect person. You're a get up and go, don't make excuses, just make it happen. You're the perfect person to lead this. Everyone loves you and everyone will follow you. And this is going to happen. This is happening. This is action right here. What's happening right now. Here we've gone from talk to action. So hallelujah. Yes, Ray.
I've been thinking of alternatives to the to your food truck idea, not because there's anything wrong with it, just that there may be opportunities that come up before we get all that organized, or situations where you might want to serve a community that wouldn't require such a big vehicle. And I was thinking of, rather than one truck, have a fleet of Sprinter vans, the Mercedes van that's tall. It's got a walk-in back. If you make me a co-host, I could share my screen because I was looking for something in particular and I finally found it. We're talking about delivering cold food. And I was in Costco and I saw a food box. They're called Cambro. And they're for keeping food hot or cold based on whatever temperature it is when you put it into this thermal box. And the pictures I've been looking for online is to try to replicate what I saw in Costco, which was these boxes with aluminum trays in it, with what are they called? Corrugated aluminum, maybe?
Yeah, you can share, Ray. I made you co-host.
All the pictures of these boxes have rigid aluminum trays, and then I finally found one. I'll try to share the screen here. And they fit, the trays themselves fit into the little ridges the same way that the rigid aluminum trays would. So if you had the food combined as you described, the cold ingredients mixed with the pre-cooked and chilled ingredients, all this stuff is waiting in units stacked in a freezer somewhere. And then you have you're seeing the box here?
Oh, it's beautiful. Now, are those reusable aluminum trays?
Yeah, that's what I was looking for. Is that typically these are showed with rigid trays, not the kind that you would just buy and you could recycle them. But
yeah,
these ones you can we can give away.
Yeah,
There's also a styrofoam box that they had at Costco too, which you stack a bunch of them inside. But these one, and that might be a solution for when you want to drop off a bunch of them to somebody who's going to distribute, and then you get the box back. And conceivably, you could do it with rigid trays that you reuse and just re-clean them.
Totally. No, I am salivating over those Star Wars like looking light colored plastic ones on wheels. I'm
shiny white
them.
Things, stormtrooper colors, and they also come in Darth Vader.
Oh my! Really?
Yeah, they fit on this little portable wheel set. So those might be, and this is one that's not cooled. So if you have them frozen solid, you might be able to get away with low tech like this and not worry about cooling it. There are those. This is one of the Sprinter vans that is refrigerated itself, but I think it's probably overkill. Probably all you need is just a van with shelves on it, or with these cooler units. This one apparently is a cooler as well.
Well, that's going to come later because I love this idea. I think it's incredible. I love all this, but you don't want to give them freezing cold food to people that are already sleeping outside. But my other point is that with parking, and also it's really, since it's COVID times, Venice Beach isn't that crowded. It's definitely crowded now that we have outdoor dining back, but we'll be able to get a spot, Jamin, and the parking won't be that big of an issue, but it will be in the future. Probably, I don't know. We just don't want to get such a big van where you can't park it. And I turned down a job recently from doing something because they wanted me to drive a Sprinter van, and I was going to manage all these grooming trucks and stuff. And, you know, you can make a lot of money doing that, but I was like, no, I don't ever want to drive that van ever. They said, if something happens to the van, you definitely have to go and figure out the van. I said, no, I don't want to do that. And, you know, that's okay. People make choices, but my point is that we need to make this as simple as possible. How to make it simple is we're having a march of silence or whatever. We're having some march on February 14th on Valentine's Day at 11 o'clock in Venice Beach on the boardwalk. There's going to be tons of people out. It's Valentine's Day. So I already have the volunteers ready. They already said they could help deliver the food and do whatever we need to. We just set up a little thing. We already do activism there. We're already doing stuff there. All we're doing is now giving what we're doing already. We're just adding to it. We're already going to be there. We're just going to give food now. My point is that we have to organize it you just have to make it really small to begin with, because that's how you grow it. Because you have to have it where it's extremely, I learned this from owning my own business a very hard way. I learned a lot of really difficult lessons having a business. You have to make everything super consistent. So it has to be really consistent. So like Jamin showed those pictures of those meals, you always have to have that as the menu. Like you can take like 5 of those. If you have like this stew, this stew, this stew, this stew. You gotta have to make it obviously whole food, plant-based, and you have to have it gluten-free. But that's why I thought we were having this meeting at 10. I thought we were in the planning part of what we're doing. That's why I came on. Is that not what we're doing right now?
It was 10
So
o'clock
from
for
10
me.
So
Eastern.
from 10 to 2, from 10 to 2 Pacific time, and it's 10:45 right now. We're actually doing a broader thing called ICIC, which is the Intentional City in the Clouds, which is a platform to ultimately empower things like this. But the food specific stuff is Food Healers from 7 to 9 a.m. and 7 to 9 p.m. Pacific time.
Got it. That's why when I was told to look at the calendar and I looked at it at 10 a.m., it was really 7 a.m. Although I was awake, I could have totally come on. I'm sorry. I'll come back at, I guess, 7 tonight then.
Yes, 7 p.m. tonight would be awesome. And then
And Ray,
and then
because what he's talking about, those sliding things to come out and deliver the food, that's great. But at the beginning,
Well, that's a family size thing, right? That's not for individuals, and you want to serve hot too. So you could serve hot with those, but what
or
you're
warm.
talking about
It doesn't
is
have to be. Yeah, it doesn't have to be hot. It can be warm, or just midway. You know, like in Venice Beach, it's usually warm. So you don't want to serve such a. I don't really know, honestly. I think they're going to be happy with anything. They're going to be. I mean, I used to buy little $1 or $2 burritos, bean burritos for my one guy that I was feeding. And, they're happy because remember, a lot of them don't have teeth. So you have to have stuff they can eat, bite into and chew. Because I did remember that when I was I've helped a lot of houseless people in my past. And I remember there's a lot of people that just, their teeth aren't very good. But this is how you get them back to health, and you nourish them. And then you get them, you don't keep them houseless. This is how you start. You feed them, and you start, and then this can be broader. But yeah, I'll come back at 7 tonight then. And then we can have a meeting about how to implement the LA Food Healers, because I do want to go ahead and do it. It's that Sunday, February 14th, have like a little mini trial. You know what I mean?
There's actually two
Totally.
ideas here, and you've encapsulated one that's very familiar, which is, there's hungry people out there. We have to feed them first. So this is a great initiative, but it's also one that's familiar enough that we're looking in Toronto, and there's lots of people doing it, feeding people who aren't getting fed. So we want to support those. But what James was talking about in LA, can you imagine feeding people in, Watts, in poor communities, and then feeding people in Beverly Hills, and you're feeding Billie Eilish and Joaquin Phoenix, and people are going, why are you feeding them the same food? They don't need relief. These are celebrities. This is the point. We're trying to build community, not a food kitchen, not a soup kitchen kind of mentality. We want to, build community, more like an Amish. They have like one building where the entire community eats in one building, not because they're poor, because they are a community, and they eat all the same thing, because they're not as hung up as we are on everybody's got to, go to the menu and have 100 things and go, well, I don't know how I feel today. That's what food has become, but we need to bring it back to food is community. Food can solve problems if we can, get over ourselves and just, start to build it as that deep meaning of connection rather than deep meaning of personal identity.
Well, it's about healing. So you got to remember, you go back to the word, like what somebody said earlier, words have meanings, obviously, but the food healers, and we're talking about trying to heal as a nation right now with all this insurrection stuff and everything that's going on in politics, which is disgusting. And we're trying to heal as a nation. So this can be a way to say, look, we're trying to heal everybody.
Perfect time.
This is a way to heal people. We're trying to heal and trying to get rid of COVID. I mean, there's
a new definition of who's needy.
Like
people that have lost their jobs.
A COVID relief plan. This is actually a COVID relief plan using lifestyle medicine. That's what it is. It's COVID relief. See, I even thought about going and getting some type of degree. I don't even know what I would need to get, but I want to become somebody that says I'm a doctor of lifestyle medicine, because that's what veganism is. It's lifestyle medicine. That's how you cure yourself. I cured myself from everything I've ever had from just being plant-based. Yeah. And that's what we need to focus on, not eat local meat. There's no such thing as local meat unless you go out in your backyard and you get your chicken and you take your chicken and you do whatever you want to with that chicken and you eat that chicken. There's no such thing as local meat. My grandmother had a huge farm in Indiana, and I don't even know what happened to those pigs she had. It wasn't even her idea to get those pigs. I just know that they came and picked them up. And local, there's nothing local. That's just a bunch of lies. Yeah, there's local lies. Local lies. Even the word localize is local lies. Okay, anyway.
But the pandemic has created this new definition of who's needy. Like, I have a house and a mortgage. I have trouble paying for the mortgage right now because I'm out of work because of COVID. Kelly lost her job because of COVID. My contract ended. So now looking for work, and there's not much there. So now it's a conversation that middle-class people are willing to listen to and say, let's feed everybody. Let's socialize food. And suddenly it's something that will benefit them or somebody that they know. Now we're a degree of separation from people who are in a position that they're not sure what happens next. So let's build a new next. Let's get them while they're interested in talking about this, because now it's that that conflict that we've seen during the elections of this middle class America that feels like Hillary was not listening to their interests, because now we just look at immigrants and whatever other kind of less advantaged people. And we know there's a huge amount of racism associated with that, but this is part of what we need to work through do we actually have more in common? Coronavirus is the great equalizer. We have a lot in common with everybody at many levels of society, except for the people who have tons of cash stored away and are making money hand over fist because people are buying from Amazon. But now everybody could benefit from a free meal.
Okay, so I'll be back at 7 and I'll listen in the rest of the day. But I wanted to say, I really wanted to go ahead and at 7 really get it all together. Like, okay, Sarah's going to the grocery store on Monday and she's going to get all the stuff and blah, blah, blah. So, okay.
And just so you know, Ananda messaged that she has another meeting. So we're good to continue this now for anyone who wants to. I don't, Sarah, if you got other stuff you need to do, go for it. But I'm happy to continue this conversation now if people want to.
Well, Jamin, I just wanted to know if, does anybody want to continue it? Because I kind of wanted to work on it today, because then I can contact all my friends today and be like, okay, great. It's happening.
Let's do it now.
Who wants to?
The stars are aligning.
I can make this certain recipe, right? So you have like 5 different. Let's say you have 3 different stews. Okay, like keep it simple, right? So I'm gonna make the vegetable stew. It's just veggies only, and then somebody's gonna make the veggie stew with the Beyond Meat in it, or whatever you want to call it, and somebody's gonna make this. So, and I used to have a vegan chef. When I lived in Atlanta, I had my own vegan chef, and I used to throw these amazing dinner parties. We would call them girls' night in instead of girls' night out. And all my friends would come over, and my vegan chef would come over and like couple days before, and she'd make like some people wanted to drink. So she'd make this like homemade sangria and all this stuff. And she'd make the stuff was insane. It was gourmet. And she's one of my best friends. And she's actually the executive producer of Jane's show, New Day, New Chef. Yeah, and she's very modest, so we have to like keep it. But she is in Atlanta, and she just I can't even say anymore if we're being recorded right now. But she's in Atlanta, and she can do food healers in Atlanta because she just opened up a really cool place that I actually came up with original idea of, which I still have. But she came up with the Halo House. It's called Halo House, and it's where dogs go to retire. And I have that same business. It's called Golden Years Dog Retreat that I created. And that's where dogs go to retire. And I created this whole like retirement community for dogs. Anyway, so getting back to her being a vegan chef is that she can even help me because we got this famous recipe from the Spork sisters, their chili. It is the easiest, best chili you can possibly make. The Spork sisters are here in LA. We know them, they're amazing. And they gave me their chili recipe. And I mean, when I was transitioning to becoming vegan, I was making all these type of, my vegan chef was making all this stuff to me to show me, you want lavender panna cotta? I can make you lavender panna cotta. I'm like, what is lavender panna cotta? You know, that kind of stuff. So I'm saying, like, it's not like we're giving them sub sandwiches, like, and throwing a turkey that's been in a freezer for 4 years, that's got disease. Like, that's what's happening right now in LA. It's happening everywhere, as you know. But yeah, I think we should definitely do it. We should definitely get her on board to do Food Healers Atlanta, because there's a ton of people that have kitchens that can cook and that know how to do this, but she will need help like distributing it. But yeah, money's not an object in that situation. But here in LA, because I did move here in 2016 to become a full-time vegan activist. I did give up my income, so I haven't had any income in like 4 or 5 years, but that's okay. So I do need to definitely get a little bit of money for the groceries, but I'm willing to do all the cooking for free, obviously, and all the everything else. I mean, I think we got to get people that have kitchens like this. Like my friend Rachel lives in Venice Beach. She actually lives in Venice Beach, and she has a gourmet custom, and she loves to cook. And she's my Beagle's aunt, and and she can help do all that. You know, she loves to cook and do all this stuff. So that's what I'm saying. Like, I have all the vegan people. We just need to get direction of like, who's going to cook this stew, and then who's going to cook this stew. And then we're all centrally located. Yeah. And Work Sisters are, you're right, part of PCRM. Yeah. This could be a PCRM program and get Tracy Childs involved, because she's also a chef out of San Diego. She has her own plant-based cookies now. Remember those Tracy's cookies, those black bean cookies? And she's in Climate Healers. She went to Vegan World 2026 conference, the 2nd year. Okay, anyway, I know that I was talking a long time, but I'm just really excited, and I've been wanting to get this going. And then I can tell people at Vegan Toastmasters Sunday at 3 o'clock, we have our meeting.
Perfect.
And we can talk about it there. And I'm actually the Toastmaster, so I can be like, the theme of the day is Food Healers.
No, I am so inspired. So Sarah, I'm just going to step out on a limb and promise that this will not slow down or stop for lack of money. Okay. And I really think that this Food Healers LA was just waiting for you to do exactly what you've done today, which is to step up and say, hey, let's do this. Right. And now the world is lining up behind you. So we can talk about this now for as long as we want. Let's get this organized. Let's do it. I'm totally in 100%. And so I think, and I love your idea about bringing a vegan chef, because what do they want to do? They want to show up at a kitchen and work their magic, right? And as Silas demonstrated in his own kitchen, Marco, I know you got your hand up, so thanks for your patience. Silas demonstrated in his own kitchen. He was like, we've been talking about this. He just went ahead and did it and fed elders in the Navajo Nation, right? So thank you, Silas, for taking the lead on that. Sarah, I totally see you bumping it up, not just a notch, but several notches. I really see a stampede in the making here, right? A vegan stampede. And so I say, go ahead and, put the word out. Say we need vegan chefs, we need kitchens, we need drivers, we need cooks, and we need servers, people to go out there and serve. We need containers. We need people to go and get donated, or, ideally donated, ceramic bowls, stainless steel spoons that we can easily rewash instead of plastic. Let's go with ceramic. Let's bump it up a notch. Anyway, I'll pass the talking feather. Marco has his hand up, followed by Ray. And Sarah, God bless you, sister, for stepping up. I mean, I just can't say this enough. I really think you are the person. You have the integrity. You've committed your life to this. And this is our moment to just bust out and do this. And I think it'll just spread like wildfire. Different parts of LA, different vegan communities in different neighborhoods throughout LA will jump on board, and it'll just become this thing, right? And this is the tool. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Sarah, please jump in and speak whenever you want, regardless of the queue, because you're you're playing such a key leadership role here. So don't hesitate, just jump in. Other than that, we got Marco, followed by Ray.
Yeah, I just want to point out, Sarah, you mentioned something about not being able to say something because of recording. Anytime you're on, any one person in the group is uncomfortable, we don't record. Also, if we're recording for the sake of getting the word out, like we do, it's like sometimes when we don't record, we say, "Oh, I wish we were recording. We missed so many nuggets in the last 10 minutes. It was just crazy," and we're not comfortable going back and trying to recreate those things. So, but anytime you feel there's important information this community can use, just here like this, the timeout signal, and just say so. It's like, and just, don't let that be a barrier to sharing something that'll help the community. Yeah, that's me complete for right now.
Awesome. Thanks, Marco. Absolutely. Ray, yeah.
I was joking in the chat that the only thing I knew about Venice Beach was that's where Hulk Hogan hails from. Can we get Hulk Hogan to go vegan? Is my comment there. Then I realized it's not the only thing I know about Venice Beach. That's also, at least down the same beach as Muscle Beach. What about getting the Game Changers involved with a food outreach on Muscle Beach?
Yeah, I was thinking about that.
Dispel this vegan weakling kind of
my
notion.
friend, the lady that's been cutting my hair, Lorena, her husband was in that movie Game Changers. So I was actually going to ask them to cook because they have a really beautiful home in Topanga Canyon and they're very private. But that's what I'm saying is I really don't want to talk a lot about the people that are going to be involved too much on this, but because some of my friends, they just cannot even, like I had to text somebody today about my friends that, Peter Nygaard is under investigation. Does anybody know who Peter Nygaard is? So I've been to their house, in Nygaard Key in the Bahamas because I used to date a billionaire. Apparently, I didn't even know it, but whatever. I didn't even know my ex-boyfriend was a billionaire, but yeah, okay. So then I'm texting my friend this morning like, oh my God, Bianca's dad and the brother Kai is speaking out against the dad because he's sex trafficking. I'm like, I went to so many parties there. I never saw any sex trafficking. This is crazy. But yeah, and one of his daughters went to Harvard. I was up in Boston for something and we were hanging out with them, like this crazy stuff. But I'm saying that we know a lot of people that can help, but we got to keep it also quiet because some people that can give a lot of money, we can't even say where the money came from. I'm not saying I'm pushing sex trafficking. I'm just saying that my friend's dad I literally was like, what?
Your friends with Bianca Nygaard? My brother went to camp with Bianca Nygaard in Ontario.
They all went to a private school and my ex-boyfriend went to Halifax in Nova Scotia, Dalhousie, Dalhousie. Yeah, he just went to Dell, but his sister went to some school in Hong Kong for like real smart world leaders. But yeah, they're that kind of family. But I didn't date Peter Nygaard's family. I just went to his house because they had a birthday party one time, went to their tree house. Like he built this, like, we call it a tree house. I guess it's like some big compound, whatever. It doesn't matter. I'm just saying that I have a lot of people that can give a lot of money to this and help. And once it gets off its feet and we like, oh, this is legit. This is really like going to work. But it already is legit. We just have to do it. And there's no time like the present because nobody's getting unemployment and nobody's getting food because the government is like, I guess, at a shutdown. I feel like the government is at a shutdown right now because the rescue package hasn't been put through, right? So people are hungry. And there's like more and more news stories every day about people needing food. So that's why I'm thinking that we need to do this right away. And I think Valentine's Day is the first day. That's going to be that Sunday, February, and it'll be like Food Healers of Love or something like that, whatever. But whatever you want to call it, like Meals with Love, something like that. Meals that heal. Dang,
where are the people
good tagline. Did Jamin just hear that? Meals that heal. That's our tagline. Oh my God.
Meals
Isn't
that
that-
heal.
Meals that heal. I just typed it into the chat. Okay.
And then we
Meals
can
that
expand
heal.
that to vegan meals that heal.
I don't
Triple
even think you
E.
need use the word vegan. I think you need the word.
No,
use
you're
the word
right.
Based, PB, like plant-based peanut butter. I just don't like the word vegan. I don't like it. It puts people off. I think when I
No.
start telling people, oh, I went on a plant-based, I'm like, oh yeah, I went plant-based. I never told them it was 11 years ago. I'm just like, oh yeah, I went plant-based. And I feel amazing. That's all you really have to say.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm sorry. Sorry for interrupting. But yes, I heard everything you said. I've got my earbuds in even when I'm refilling the coffee. But I actually agree with you to downplay the word vegan, because the reality is veganism is kind of like a religion, right? I happen to think it should be the religion everyone should sign up to, but there is that religious element. Let them come to Jesus at their own time, at their own pace. In the meantime, let's get them eating plant-based, regardless of religion, kind of thing. So thank you for pointing that out, Sarah. Meals that heal. I love it.
Because
And then
you
when
also
we go,
want to be able to find it easily, because you have to have a quick tagline, because here's the thing, in marketing and everything, it's got to be quick, you know, like that one meal. Okay, so Meals on Wheels is very popular when you know, Jane, what's her face? Joan Rivers had Meals on Wheels. She was so popular for Meals on Wheels. That's what she did. She did Meals on Wheels. That's what we're doing, basically. It's just the vegan version. So it's Meals that heal. Meals that heal is a great tagline, I think, because it's true. It's meals that heal. And you can even play
as
on
simple
words with your heel, like with your heel. So you can actually use like feet that you're walking towards healing with the meal. So something like that. You can just do a lot of stuff with it. Yeah. You should do meals that heals. Try to reserve that mealsthatheal.com. So people can type that in, like on the news, they'll be like, oh, if you want more information to how to get a free meal to your neighborhood, type in meals, go to mealsthatheal.com or whatever, foodhealers.org. That's where they need to go. Foodhealers.org. And then like the tagline on the truck could be Meals That
thank
Heal.
you.
Or
Thank you,
you can have a
yeah.
sticker on the
Thank you,
ceramic. I have
you.
a better idea. You know those ceramic dishes that we're going to serve the meals in? You put the sticker on top, although you don't want the sticker to wash off. So there's plenty of artists here that can help with that. We have so many vegan tattoo artists here. So you put some type of label on the ceramic things that you're giving the food in, because then it'll say Meals That Heal and it'll have Food Healers logo on it. And then that means they then will have bins. And then that's where they put their food, in the bin. So if you have a ceramic bowl and it has like the stamp on it, or it's like welded in, and it says the Food Healers thing and Meals That Heal on it, whatever. That goes, you can have a little leaf on it, you know, like a little plant emoji, whatever you want to call it. You put that in the bin. So you have this bin where all the meals are served. And then once they're finished, hey, when you're finished with your meal, there's a special bin just for Food Healers containers, because it's COVID protected, right? You got to use all that COVID crap no matter what. Oh yeah, put it in there. It's sanitized, everything. So you only have that one container for those containers, right? You have that way you don't throw them away. Let's say you're walking on the beach one day, you're walking on the boardwalk and you see a Food Healers container, you know to pick it up and put it in that depository. That's gotta happen, because it's like recycling. It's the same thing. Then I'll go around and I'll just pick up the stuff and take it back and figure out where I'm gonna wash it. That's my only thing. Is I have a dishwasher at my house and I've never used it. I just don't use dishwashers or microwaves, but I just want to figure out this one part about the containers, because I think the food is cheap. That's easy. The containers, we can definitely get people to donate. We could even ask the Container Store to donate, make a big, large donation of containers that will be considered eco-friendly. So that would be getting business for the Container Store. We could ask the Container Store, hey, Container Store, I got a gazillion million containers that they can give us for free. It's not going to cost them, because they make probably people like child laborers make them. I don't know. I'm just saying. People don't ask, like Jamin, this is why I was being the devil's advocate the other day when Jane came on. She's like, I don't want to cook for people. Nobody's going to want the food. They're going to think it's weird, blah, blah. What are you talking about? They're driving up in their station wagons every night with their children and their kids. They're throwing Like I said, anything in the car. They're going to Burger King because they have no other thing to eat. I promise you, when they have good food to eat, they'll take it and they'll eat it. And then that's when they start transforming their mind, their body, and it's nourishing. And that's what cures them, right? Because it makes them, their depression goes away. All their bad stuff goes away. That's why it's called Meals That Heal, because it really is truly healing.
Love it. I'm getting a couple domain names for us right now for this purpose. Meals That Heal, actually the .com, even .net and .org were taken. So I'm getting .life and .cc just to get us started. And .life is pretty cool because it's meals that heal for life, not just for the life of people, but for the life of the planet, for the life of the animals. Right. Anyway, so, all right, we got some hands up. Hands up. We got Marco, Lucas, and Sarah. But Sarah, you have priority always because you're taking the lead here, and we need to support you. So yeah, Marco and Lucas, go for it.
Yeah, I'm sure, Jamin, you've done some like the community cafe, so I'm sure you have experience with the place where if we're going into actively doing this, now we're talking about cooking in different people's homes and everything. Where you know where you're at, and I'm sure localities are different as far as food handling licenses or anything like that required. And are there any extra COVID restrictions for food handling that need to be addressed? Because it would be horrible to show up with a bunch of free food and have the health department come say, okay, toss it all out, because we're not going to let you
actually
deliver.
Just to address that real quick before we pass it on to Lucas. California has great Good Samaritan laws. So you know, obviously we're going to do the right thing. We're not going to cut any corners. We're going to be 100%
Right.
hygienic and everything like that. But as we say out
I
in the
just don't
country,
want
our
any
asses,
surprises.
yeah,
You know, if we're at the
Yeah.
point of
Yeah.
implementation anywhere, we need to address those at every locality so that we don't get, you know, blindsided.
Totally. No, and we're going to do all that proactive. In fact, we're not just asking for volunteers for vegan chefs, for food servers, for drivers, etc. Let's get some vegan lawyers on board to help make sure we're dotting every I, crossing every T. Some vegan public health and food service specialists, right? If you're, basically if you're vegan, we could use your help. Just sign up and then we'll see where we best need you. All right.
Jim, a couple of days ago, I posted something about Food Not Bombs, and I think we should get Keith McHenry involved, but maybe not overtly by association, but to pick his brain as to how you feed people, because he's the guy that's been shut down. He's tried to feed so many people and people get arrested and stuff like that. And it's usually, I mean, he does it in a really political way where sometimes he's feeding people in front of some sort of a demonstration that draws attention to how America's not taking care of its people. But he must know all the laws by now and know things like California is better than others. But somebody who's wants to feed everybody, this is his passion. So he'll be able to provide that more edgy activist viewpoint and where the loopholes are. And he did this whole thing where he proved that they were giving him all this harassment because of laws. And he proved over and over again, it's never about the law. It's more about the politics of what's happening. And because they've done programs where they've done everything, crossed all the T's, dotted the I's, and still had pushback because obviously people had it in for Food Not Bombs. And what Noam Chomsky calls the what's it called? The problem of the good example. He set a good example and it shows the people who should be feeding their people, shows them up, and then they push back saying, yeah, okay, fine, smart guy.
What it is that I'd like to say about the healing aspect of meals is I found that anytime that one changes a routine, it goes along with a message as well, that treat others the way you'd like to be treated, forgive, love. There's a lot of different things that seem to to help transitions in one's life. And that, yeah, when it comes to actually changing a routine, especially dietary routine, there always seems to be a shift in one's life as well, just from what it is that I've researched.
Beautiful. This is going to shift the whole community of Los Angeles in this case, right? In fact, let's redefine LA as a compassionate city, right? Why not? Let's completely, and LA will just totally embrace it. What's there not to love about a compassionate city, right? City government will get on board, the entertainment industry, God knows LA's been bashed enough for, folks like the Weinsteins and everything else. It's time to put, to create a new, Sarah, you're the perfect face for the new LA, basically. You're like, because here's the thing, people don't follow movements, they follow leaders. And Sarah, you are a leader. And you're leading this now. And a lot of more leaders are gonna get on board, but it's better to be first than it is to be better. So get ready to be the most loved person in LA. LA loves Sarah Siegel. I can see the bumper stickers.
Well, let's not go that far. I like to stay behind the scenes personally, Jamin. That's one thing I definitely want to do. My vegan chef stays behind the scenes too. So yes, she is executive producer of Jane's show, but her checkbook stays behind the scenes, if you know what I'm saying. So I like to stay behind the scenes, and we can do food healers, and that's going to be great, but I definitely want to stay behind the scenes in it. And I definitely am good at the organizing and all that stuff, but I definitely want to stay kind of like behind the scenes is what I'm saying. Like,
no, totally. And there we,
yeah, but we're in
totally,
Toastmasters, so there's plenty of people that can give speeches about it. My landlord's texting me, asking me if I'm, oh crap, she needs me to babysit this weekend. Oh crap.
Yeah, but there will be no shortage of celebrities that will step up to the microphone.
That's saying, like, you feed what the celebrity needs to say. You know what I'm saying? And they do the whatever. Or like what happens is when we do it, you have celebrities that come. They come to where we're giving the food out. Okay, like TMZ sees that a celebrity came and has a sighting, and then you get a story on TMZ about it, and that's how it gets out, because our friend works for TMZ, so we can just let her know, hey, that kind of thing. That there's always celebrities out. So all you have to do is have one celebrity sighting of them getting, helping with the food healers, giving out the meals. We can ask, Joaquin Phoenix, could you do this? Come one day and help give out meals? Because Nikki is the chef. Our friend Nikki is a vegan chef, and her best friend is Amy Jean Davis. And Amy Jean Davis has Phoenix, who is Joaquin Phoenix's goddaughter. So when Nikki's cooking the food and making all the stuff, then they can ask Joaquin, oh, hey, could you give out my food? Since they're friends, right? So you got to connect. All you have to do is, Jane calls me the connector. I just want to connect everybody, but stay behind the scenes, like behind on this Zoom call. And then when it goes out to the public, it's just me and the volunteers. You see what I'm saying?
Totally, Totally love it. No, and
we're food healers. All of us are food healers. I'm just the person that's going to be in LA organizing the food healers here. Does that make sense? So everybody is going to be a food healer. It's just the person that's going to be organizing it is me and other people. See what I'm saying? We just have like an organization team. And then the team goes and, like when you have a football team, Tom Brady's got to throw the Super Bowl touchdowns or whatever you want to call it. We need Tom Brady to do that. So that means we need to find some vegan celebrity Tom Brady so they can give all the meals out, and then everybody else wants to do it. Oh, she's giving out meals. I want to do that. So I can get some PR. So whatever their goal is and why they're doing it, it doesn't matter, because we know our intention is at the core of what it is. That's why I was wanting to do it, because Dr. Rao did it. So I was like, well, if he can do that in his kitchen, then I could just do it here, because I already have people that are here that are vegans that want to do this, but we just don't have any money. That's all. We want to do everything. We just need the capital, because it's easy to do what you're saying. Because once you get everybody on, that's when it gets to a bigger scale, like Ray showed us with that truck. The truck that Ray showed us is incredible. I would love to have that truck and pull up in that truck and open those doors and slam out all those vegan meals. That is like the dream truck. That is it. And it says food healers on it, and it says meals that heal on it. And then when people pull up, they're like, ooh, okay, I'm getting a meal that's going to heal. And all these nursing homes, yes, no offense to anybody on here that has parents in nursing homes, but they're not going to make it. But maybe we could just give them a meal that heals them before they have to go to the next universe, because that's a problem right now, is all these people that are older and they're not healthy. And I feel like Mother Nature is trying to tell them something, but yeah.
My truck was scaling back from Jamin's spectacle. He's going to be on top of the vehicle with his Darth Vader costume, playing electric guitar like the guy in Road Warrior. Everybody will hear us coming.
Oh my goodness, so exciting. So one thing I'm thinking is, so like, let's say we're going to take there's a lot of people on Venice Beach, and of course we want to feed everyone who wants food. We don't want to turn anyone away. So what I'm thinking is, what might be ideal is we show up with one pot that's already hot and insulated, ready to serve, fresh and hot, or two or whatever. But then others could be in the van cold, keep the back of the van cold, keep the doors closed, etc. And thermally insulated, whatever, those big boxes or whatever you got. And then as we need to heat them up, let's have some kind of an electric, crock pot or something, right? So as we're serving one hot pot, we're preheating the next two or three, etc. And of course, we'll always have cold. So it's like people can have the option. Do you want to take it cold to eat it later, reheat it later, whatever? That's fine. Take it home and eat it there, whatever, So let's just think outside the box a little bit. Maybe not, we'll just think about it and be ready to learn and tweak. This will be a learning experience. All right, Lucas. Thank you so much, Lucas. Great to see you here. Come back anytime. As you can see, it's quite a party, and we're changing the world and transforming ourselves in the process. Awesome. I'm thinking of the words of President Fox when we did our big press conference in Seattle that changed the course of history. As regards prohibition, I just want to play his words because they're so appropriate here. Let's see here. Okay, I'm going to screen share real quick and just play like 1 minute of President Fox at our press conference.
A new call will be emerging, new part of the world. The impact in the economy, a new path, a path to change the paradigm by legalizing medical and social use of cannabis. In Mexico, we welcome this initiative because the cost of the war, in the case of Mexico, is becoming unbearable. Too high for Mexico, Latin America, and the rest of the world. The impact in the economy, on income, on tourism investment, loss of talent, and above all, loss of hope, and 80,000 kids dead in the last 6 years. All this because our neighbor to the north represents such a gigantic consumer market. We must get out of this trap. And here is the opportunity. Now this group here is moving accordingly from words into plans, and from plans into action, and the action in the arena.
Those are the key words. This group, and I'm saying the same about this group right here. This group here is moving accordingly from words into plans, and plans into action, and action in the arena. It's perfect. This is a story, just like that was a story. In that case, it was 6 months in the making since I jumped in, right? And we started talking and then making plans and then moving into action. One of the actions was to organize that press conference. At some point, we will organize a press conference and say, here's what we've been doing in Venice Beach. Now we're taking it to all of LA. And watch LA respond, led by the vegan community, right? But soon, even non-vegans will say, hey, I just want to volunteer. I just want to help feed people. And you know what? The more I eat the stew, the more I like it. And I'm asking myself, why do I need to eat meat? If all my nutrition is here, if the flavor is here, the communal experience, et cetera, right? See, that's how we win hearts and minds and get people to go vegan who weren't even intending to go vegan, right? Wow.
Okay, guys, I
Wow.
need to step away I'm
Sure.
actually having a lunch meeting with someone who's going to be donating and helping with this. It's somebody that has a business that is a shipping business. So if we need any of these containers shipped, we can get free shipping through my client who I switched to vegan. His whole family went vegan, and he says that he owes me everything, and I don't want to be involved with him in a relationship, but I am going to eat lunch with him to meet with him about letting him know that this is happening. I'm literally going to talk to him about this at the meeting. I was thinking, what are we going to talk about at this meeting? It's going to be suck, but I have to go. But now I'm really excited because now I can be like, guess what? We have an event on February 14th, and it's Food Healers, Food with Love, or whatever, Heal with Love, or whatever you want to call it. We're already going to be doing a march. Might as well be serving the food there. So I just have to get that kind of organized. And this person also has a big vehicle who could drive me to pick up all the produce and stuff, because they have like a big SUV Cadillac. That's a second car to them. And since they're vegan, they're wanting to have a purpose now. And they're finding out, oh, it's not all about money. Because that's the problem with everything, if you think about it, in this existence that we're in right now, in the colonialistic whatever world. Everything seems to be about money. Like I just told you, I want to cook all this food. I could actually be cooking it right now where I'm pet sitting in a plant-based kitchen. But I need to get the stuff, and I need to get the money to go get it. And I just need to, it's really just that simple, Jamin. It's so simple. This is so easy to do. It's just take it on like the Girl Scouts. And the Girl Scouts are doing a project, and all the different troops around the nation, right? So I'm in Troop LA, and somebody said they could help in Toronto, Ray. He's Troop Toronto, and Marco is there. So that's what I'm saying. And Melissa is where you are, Jamin, and she can cook with you or whatever. Jane is not going to do that. But there's only one person that doesn't want to do it. And I have a PayPal vegan volunteers that actually have a legitimate nonprofit, you know, where I don't spend the money on myself, obviously. I gave up my whole life. I don't know how many people know that, but I gave up all my bougie lifestyle to, and I'm renting a room in a house, but I have the whole access to the house. The house is plant-based. My landlord's plant-based. She doesn't even live in the house. She lives in her own property behind there. She's plant-based. and she's texted me to pet sit for her. So now I'm like, see, it's all about relationships. And you just have to be a good person and keep doing good things, and then good things will happen and people will want to help you. Like you said, Jamin, when people see people doing good, they want to help. The Girl Scouts said they're not even going to be buying cookies this year because of the palm oil in them. There's a group of Girl Scouts that are boycotting, even selling the cookies that have the palm oil in it. So yeah, I'm totally against palm oil too. But no one's going to come up to us and ask us if any of this food has palm oil in it. I promise you. And it's not going to. But, you know, the people that are asking all these, if it's gluten-free, if it's this, if it's that, or whatever, those aren't the people that need to eat this food. Those are the critics. We need to make sure that we don't get bogged down by what the real message is, like you said, when you just showed us that video of President Vicente Fox. The message is very simple, right? Just feed them.
It could not be simpler.
You don't ask questions in the grocery store when you're buying your food. No, they don't ask questions. They're putting their stuff in the grocery cart. They just look at the pictures. That's what they want to see, pretty pictures, just like men that read Playboy. They don't care about the articles. They want to see the pictures. That's what people, the visualization. When I saw those pictures of the stew, I immediately was like, I could make that stew. That's the only reason I stepped up, is when you showed those pictures, all of a sudden I was like, Salish made that stew. My vegan chef made that stew. I can make that stew. And I can get all my friends to do it. And all my friends that are vegan chefs. So that's even better. They already have the certified kitchens. Like you said, it all begins in LA. It's the inaugural thing.
It's the birthplace. It's the birthplace for this. And it will be the mouthpiece to the world because it's the media capital of the world.
Yeah, media,
and we're going to make it.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. No, it's just the perfect place to broadcast it to the world. We're going to document it. We're going to study it. We're going to learn from it. And LA will, and it's going to be measurable. We'll measure the results. Watch the crime drop. Watch illnesses, hospitalizations, COVID rates, everything. Watch it all drop. The bad things will drop. The good things will rise. And people will have a sense of purpose in this otherwise mad, sickening, and crazy time that we're living through. This will give people a purpose to come together and heal our way out of it through Meals That Heal.
Meals That Heal is such a great little, because it's just easy to remember. And you want some
totally.
Yeah, I mean, Del Taco has a commercial right now that is the most catchiest commercial ever for this crispy mango chicken. And I'm pissed because I can't get it out of my mind because I had to watch some interview for something that I'm working on, some undercover thing that I'm working on. So I had to watch something to get some information about where I needed to go. And then this clip came up, or some commercial came on, and I was listening to it because I was laying down. But I didn't see it, but it was just like this jingle. And I'm like, Jesus, that is so catchy. I'm pissed. In the past, I would have probably not noticed that. It probably didn't even, but I noticed it immediately, how catchy it is. To eat mango crispy chicken, that's not even chicken. So yeah, we got to come up with something catchy like that. But yeah, people will come when, especially when they're going to get a meal from a celebrity. But we don't want to guarantee a celebrity will be there. You just want to get the news, the story, right?
Here's what I'm thinking. Joaquin Phoenix could show up, with a COVID-like spacesuit kind of thing, helmet and all that, and with a microphone and a soundbox portable speaker like I used at Venice Beach, and basically sound the word, hey, everyone, come. This is my favorite stew. I'm chowing down. Come join me, and then, he doesn't have to be the one serving because too many people are going to come rush him. But let him come, make a cameo, make a presentation and broadcast it, get it on camera and all that. Boom, that'll be up on Jane Unchained same day, right?
Can we get Matt Damon to play the Martian?
Why not?
He's head of water.org, so he should be on board. And his friend Casey Affleck tried to get him to go vegan one time, so we need Casey Affleck to influence him again. Casey's got to stay in the
Yeah,
background though, because he's a bad boy.
Yeah, totally. But here's the thing. So many of these celebrities are right on the tipping point. You know, it's just right at this tipping point right now. And there's so much pressure. This is going to get them to tip right over, because everyone's going to have to try this amazing gourmet stew, because we're not going to skimp. It's going to be gourmet, right? It'll be delicious. And we'll have, you know, maybe a couple different varieties. We got your gluten-free and we got your, you know, non-gluten-free with pasta, with, you know, whatever. Right? Gluten-free will have a lot of quinoa, beans and rice are gluten-free, no problem. So it'll be super easy to make a gluten-free vegan stew. And then another one with pasta for people who are into that. Pasta is high protein, nothing wrong with pasta, right? As long as it doesn't have eggs.
Okay.
And most of it doesn't.
Can we get the Spork sisters to talk to Mayim Bialik, who's also on the PCRM advisory committee for the universal meals?
Yeah, we can get Jane to talk to them. We can get anybody that's on. My client is actually the one I was telling you has the gourmet kitchen in Beverly Hills. She's actually on the board of PCRM. Isn't that amazing?
Bernie told me
my goodness,
that Mayim Bialik was almost on New Chef.
She was?
I won't reveal my sources.
That's so cool. I love her. I love Blossom. Yeah, Blossom. And she's also, I think she's still a religious Jew. I'm not sure. But she was also on Big Bang Theory. And I watched that when my grandmother was deteriorating. And I would watch that show at my aunt's house while she was at her physical therapy. But yeah, I love that show, Big Bang Theory. It's so funny. Yeah, I think we definitely need to do this. I need to go ahead, and since Valentine's Day is coming up and it's already February 5th, I need to go ahead and organize my people right now. So I'm about to send out a secret message to my crew and be like, hey guys, I know we have a thing on February 14th, but I also want to serve 50 meals. I need to be really realistic. How many meals do I make? Like how many, of the stock pot, which actually I gave my Le Creuset stock pot to my friend Lori Allen, who is actually a vegan celebrity because she is the voice of Pearl from SpongeBob SquarePants. She is the voice of Diane from Family Guy. She's one of my best friends. I just sent her a video saying, if you don't laugh at this, you have no sense of humor kind of person, because it's these two dogs eating celery. It's like the funniest video I've ever seen in my life. But I send her funny messages and she sends me funny messages, but she can help. She's in Hollywood Hills. She can help. And she's very popular. She's doing some kind of like a autograph thing today, I think, or tomorrow, something like that. But anyway, people always want her autograph. But she's really cool, and she's plant-based, and she can help with the meals. And she could probably make some stew, you know. It's like, would you like Pearl from SpongeBob SquarePants to give you stew? You know, that's cool, right? And there's a new cartoon. It's when Pearl was a baby. I've never even seen the show SpongeBob SquarePants in my life because I think it's the stupidest thing in my whole life. Like, why would a sponge wear pants? That's stupid. So I thought that's stupid. I don't even want to engage in that. So I know it's a great show and everybody loves it, but to me it's stupid. So I never tell my friend that, but because she's the whale of the thing. And here's Jane messaging me right now about Leilani Munter, who is the car racer girl. You know, we can get Leilani, and she also has that, I've been to her sanctuary in Hawaii. She's got that veganic farm sanctuary in Hawaii. So you could get her, the race car woman, you could get her involved. How cool would it be to get a meal from a race car driver? But you know what I'm saying? Like, we have so much going on in LA. It's just inevitable that this is just going to happen. But we just need to talk about how it's going to, like, we'll talk later tonight. How is it going to happen? Let's get the food. Let me talk to my friend. Hey, when can you take me to go get the food? Because I don't even go to Costco. I'm like against going to those type of big stores.
Yeah.
Stores. I'm against all that because I've never had to do that type of stuff, but I understand why people go there, but I don't like people buying bulk meat. So that's why it gets me crazy, because it's all it is buying more. It's just a gluttonous thing. You don't need.
It has its place for getting. But it has its place for getting the big sacks of rice and beans and other ingredients. Please check the chat before you go, please, Sarah, because I sent you a couple of messages there.
What did you write? Okay, hold on. Oh, give me my cell phone number. I'll just type my cell phone number to you. Yeah, on here.
Okay,
And that way you can just text me later or something.
you got
Yeah,
it. You
same
got
phone,
it.
1996. So that's 1999. So when, you know, when AT&T went wireless, they bought out Bell South. I got an AT&T number and I chose my number. So that's my number. It's easy to remember.
Awesome. Awesome.
Okay.
Thank you.
So I just confirmed I'm going to pick up my rich vegan friend who's going to help us. But yeah, I think if we can just start out with a small budget, once somebody makes that initial investment and they see, oh, how well this went, then everybody else is going to be like, oh, okay, yeah, I don't mind giving $100. $100 can serve 100 meals. Wow, that's amazing.
No, that's what I'm saying. We can't.
You have to think about it in math. You have to make sure people know if you give $100, that's going to be 5,000 meals or whatever. Make them feel like their dollar is going a long way. That's why I give money to PETA, because 84 cents of every dollar that I give to people for the ethical treatment of animals goes to the animals. I know for sure, because their annual report is this thin. So if you get a big book like this in the mail about your investments, they're not going to the animals, they're going to the people. So yeah, you got to make sure that we say, we have to come up with it's meals that heal, and then you come up with whatever you're going to say, Jamin, when you do the press releases. So if an average, you have all the numbers, is what I'm saying. You said it's cost $7, or each meal. I think Silash said each meal costs 54 cents. And you don't want to say that until way later, though, because to me, you don't want to make them feel like they're eating cheap meals. Because to me, I would be like, I don't want to eat stew from. I know why Jane was saying that. So I'm going to go on her side and saying, but she's not our audience. She's not starving.
No. But she can help get the message out. She can say, look, this is not something that I personally volunteer, but I do support it because I think it's a great cause. Nothing wrong with that. Jane, we're not asking you to volunteer. We're not even asking you to eat the stew, right? But we are asking you to talk about it. That's all, And you're on mute, then that's okay. You're on mute, Sarah.
Okay, I was just taking a picture for Jane so she actually knows that I'm busy. I'm doing something. I'm on food healers. That's the thing, is I think a lot of people think because we stay at home or we're, I have my own dog sitting business or whatever. I'm not busy. I am busy. I'm trying to heal people and feed them. But yeah, if I was cooking stew right now, I wouldn't be able to, you know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah. Here's the thing. I think you're going to get so many people lined up who are going to want to cook that you can you're really great at coordinating, right? So you could be like the central switchboard because everyone trusts you. That's super important. Yeah. And people do business, and as you know, this is a businesswoman. People do business with people they like. In this case, people they love. Because people love you, Sarah. People are going to do business with you because they love you. And just them knowing that that they're helping motivates them to help.
Yeah, I mean, all my clients will donate because they already donated when my friend works at a nursing home or like a senior center, but she doesn't work at it anymore, but she was working there, and these people weren't getting letters. They're all lonely because nobody can visit them. So she asked for people to write letters. And I was like, well, my dog's in Pup Scouts and I have all these clients and cat clients and dog clients. And they could write letters to the people. And she was like, oh my God, it's a great idea. I'm like, yeah. So I got all the Pup Scouts. I just basically posted it all over, and they just got thousands of letters from dogs. I mean, it was so funny, right? If I can get dogs to write letters to people, I can pretty much, I think so. Yeah. I mean, my dog got married, and my dad was like, no, he's going to come to some stupid dog wedding. I'm like, yeah, well, it's about 150 people there. And so
That's awesome.
Yeah, I know. I never thought my dog was going to get married, but my dog got married, and it was like a real fucking wedding. I mean, it was expensive as shit. And I literally was like, I can't believe I spent that much money on my damn dog's wedding. But at the same time, we did raise money for Animal Defenders International, because I was at the time helping for doing volunteer lobbying and meeting with Congress people to try to help them get this bill passed. And so, I know how those assholes work up there. But anyway, so yeah, so I gotta go, guys. I'm about to go pick up my friend, or not pick up my friend, but go meet my friend. And thank you so much, Jamin. I'm very excited about this. And like I said, I already have vegan volunteers set up, and that could be just the little shell of food healers. You know what I mean? That could be just like,
yeah.
And I've been meaning to, yeah. Okay. Anyway, so I just wanted to let you know that. But thank you, guys. I'm excited about this because I think that now that you said more people could do it, like Nikki, I'm thinking Nikki is a chef, and we know so many vegan chefs. We just get them to make the stew, and they're already cooking for the day anyway. Just make a pot of stew, right? That's what I'm thinking. You're already cooking, so just make an extra pot of stew, and here's the ingredients, and here's all the stuff, and all you have to do is make it. That's what I want to do. I want to say, this is coming to your door, all the ingredients that you need to make the stew. And here's the sheet, the recipe. All you have to do is do all of this and follow it. That's how you make it consistent. And it comes out always gourmet. See what I'm saying? Because even though they're going to have all the ingredients, they're going to make it like gourmet. But we don't want them adding cilantro and all the other crap in it. And I hate cilantro, by the way. This stew better not have cilantro in it. Just kidding. I'm just saying that we need to make it really simple. Here's the recipe. All you have to do is make it. Somebody like me that could make it. If I can make it, like Jane said, if she can make it, anybody can make it. That's the whole idea behind Food Healers. I'll see y'all tonight, okay?
Love you, Sarah. Thank you so much, sister. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And God bless you. And God bless everyone who gets on board with this. I love it. So excited. Oh, wow. Wow. Talk about the power of intention, right? I mean, look, just look at what's going on here. We get together and we say, you know what, every Friday, Food Healers, when we get together and at first, it's words, to quote President Fox, from words into plans, and plans into action, and action in the arena. Look at this, right? Silas started making stew, delivering it. Hey, I'm just starting. Boom, let me do this. Wow, this is not that hard. It's not that much different to make 4 quarts of stew versus 40. It's the setup time that takes time. It's the driving to Costco. Throw in a few more burlap sacks. It's really not that much more effort, right? And like Sarah said, there are people with the kitchens who want to do this. This is the most obvious idea that's just been waiting to happen. We just had to put our intention behind it. So thank you all. Yes, Ray.
One thing about obvious solutions, though, sometimes they get buried under more obvious solutions, like the idea that the most needy people need to get served first. That's obviously a constant. Yet it kind of blinds us from these kind of ideas where we can all be eating the same food and developing a new idea. Like I said, we looked around Toronto. There's lots of people feeding people that are homeless or that are needy, and that kind of works against any new project because they go, yes, this is familiar. I've seen this before. No big deal. And I already have a favorite. So you have a hard time trying to convince me to shift my attention to what you're doing. Another example is my brother used to work for the Olympic Committee for the United Nations, which eventually became Right to Play. And that he went to, they were in a few different countries in Africa where there was refugees. He was in Zambia, where they had a lot of Congolese refugees at the time, and they taught them sports. And people are like, why are you bringing soccer balls to Africans? Why are you getting Canadians to teach Africans how to play soccer? That's just the dumbest idea ever. But why soccer balls when people are starving? People are living in these horrible conditions in refugee camps. And the answer was that it kept them occupied, kept their spirits up, taught them leadership skills. They had a lot of leadership program training within these camps. So the guys that brought this campaign, they had so much of an uphill battle because everybody was like, no, these people are very needy. You don't need to teach them sports. And they, as soon as the program got started, the first thing that they noticed was the crime rate in the neighborhoods went down. So all the locals, all the Zambians were like, we like this. This is, I mean, less crime is a good thing. So it's not always the most obvious solutions, but when they're successful, it's then becomes obvious and that you follow up on it and make this work. As far as I know, it's still a program that's operating.
Love it, love it, love it. Yeah, I think what all this, you know, food for the food insecure, what it was missing was the gourmet, and remove the, oh, only for the needy. Get that out of there. This is food for everyone. Beverly Hills, Venice Beach, Watts, Compton, I don't care where you are in LA. We're feeding LA meals that heal. Because it's meals that heal, you know. Look, the billionaire who's eating meat and dairy and getting sick, they need healing just as much as anyone else, right? So it's meals that heal. Voila, simple. But take away the messaging of meals for losers, right? Who the hell wants to get in line for meals? It could be the best food on the planet. Who the hell is going to want to get in line for that?
And it's
right?
missing this opportunity with the COVID pandemic. There are now those middle-class people who are staunch Republicans who say, don't help poor people. It's their poor because it's their fault, right? They don't get it because they believe in this American dream where if you work hard, you get rewarded. If you don't work hard, your punishment was probably brought on you by yourself. It's an ugly attitude, but it's half the country. And sometimes it's, you know, I'm kind of creating a caricature. Sometimes it's just nuances of that. I feel nuances of that. I know people who have said that they've got, you know, I've got these issues, so I can't work ever again in my life. I'm like, ever again, really? So you're okay with just having your compensation given to you? And I have these struggles to believe in this you know, welfare state, if you want to blow it into the jargon of those people. But now those people are the same ones that are suddenly out of work, you know. So the industries are suffering and they're scared, and how they usually apply their fear is to push everybody else down. Now there's an opportunity for everybody to be in the same boat. Recognize that there are the elite. They're not worried about this. People are buying off Amazon. They're getting richer and richer. They're able to adapt their business models to sustain these things, and at least until the economy collapses. But now there's this opportunity to look at things from a class perspective. And there's a whole conversation there about how we've become sensitive to racism and social justice, but we still have to remember that class struggle, because it works to the advantage of the elite for us to pretend that it doesn't exist. And you don't have poor white people working with poor black people. Why are they on opposite sides? And this happened in the 60s with Fred Hampton. As soon as he got people waving a Confederate flag working with the Black Panthers, there was only one response the government had for Fred Hampton. It was kill him immediately. This has to stop.
Yeah,
because it's the biggest threat to their system. And
he was feeding people. He was bringing breakfast to schools, literally just feeding people. I mean, it was just. I met his son at Standing Rock, actually, Fred Hampton Jr. Yeah, still carrying the torch. And yeah, we actually did some media together. We recorded some interviews and meetings and stuff like that. Super inspiring. Yeah, he came to Standing Rock with his small team.
It's kind of a grim barometer, but when people start to get killed by the CIA and the FBI, then you know that there's something, that they were onto something. That
you know, you're onto
really
something,
disruptive.
exactly. Hey, Jamin's dead. That means we're successful. I mean, I'm crying, but I'm celebrating.
He wants to pick up his hat and put it on right afterwards.
This guy was just feeding people, and they made an attempt on his life. Is that correct? Is that what you're saying?
Oh, they killed him.
No, they killed him. They killed him.
what was their reason
Well,
for doing that officially?
Here's the thing. At age 20, he was the leader of the Black Panthers in Chicago, in all of Chicago,
Right.
right? A brilliant dude, very articulate. Everyone loved him. And he was bringing food to the schools, feeding all the kids, organizing people. And that's when the CIA said, okay, this has to stop. You know, Black communities getting organized and taking care of each other. No. It's time to kill Fred Hampton, kill Martin Luther King, kill them all, and flood these ghettos with drugs. And that's what they did. And here we are. God bless America.
Amen.
Apparently a documentary about him made in 1971, the murder of Fred Hampton. I don't know how hard that is to find. I just found that on Wikipedia.
Yeah. His partner was pregnant with Fred Hampton Jr., who I met at Standing Rock. I was just talking with a group of people. He showed up, we started talking. I just gave him a big hug. I am Jamin Shively. I'm Fred Hampton Jr. I was just like, holy shit. Man, what a moment, you guys. And it just shows the power of intention, and what a validation for everything we're doing here online. And for all the people who say, oh, you know, they're just talking, take a look at Sarah Siegel in Los Angeles. Take a look at Silas Rao in Arizona, right? And take a look at, this is just the beginning. These are just the first couple kernels that popped in a very hot popcorn maker. Cover your ears.
Chicago had drawn a lot of the poor whites in the South to work along with the poor blacks that we know about from blues history, but they started to organize under labor in Chicago, and this is how Fred Hampton got involved with them. And there's this photo of Fred Hampton and the Black Panthers behind this podium, and there's a Confederate flag behind them and a bunch of white dudes sitting on the other side on the same side of the table. So, I mean, they joined forces, and eventually they taught them that to give up their racist attitudes, and they got rid of the Confederate flag. And that's about where the end happened, where they started organizing and having this voice of uniting labor under a class banner rather than a race banner. You kind of need to solve both problems at the same time.
Totally. But you see, here's the thing with this, it's gonna solve class and race and ethnicity and everything else. We're gonna have Mexican stews, we're gonna have Asian stews, we're gonna have stews from African stews, and it's just gonna cross all the lines and get everyone working together and eating together. This is the basis, not just for a new economy, but a new form of governance. Look, if the government's not stepping in and doing it, and we do, who's your daddy? Who's doing governance? Organizing for food delivery, that's a function of governance. It's open source governance, right? We're making traditional colonial governments obsolete with a new form of open source, decentralized, compassionate governance, putting people and Mother Earth first. A government that doesn't protect Mother Earth, that doesn't protect the animals in the Amazon, is not a government worth keeping. Simple as that. It's as simple as that. I was about to say, I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry. Let the colonials be sorry, right? I'm proud, not sorry.
Silas Rao made the distinction. He's told that story about the guy that had heart disease and had the choice between going vegan or a bypass surgery. The bypass surgery costing hundreds of $1,000s, whereas instead he took a cooking class that cost $900. and then tried to get Blue Cross to reimburse it, and they couldn't because the system's just not designed to think that way in a good way, right? It's designed to think in a profitable way, but not in a way that's good for everybody involved. So that's an obvious flaw in the system. But Sailesh's point most recently, I mean, he told that story many times, but he embellished it a little bit in his opening talk at the recent conference. And he said, this is something that he took his solution and made it happen on his own. He didn't wait for the government to come up with a program to change the coding laws so that he could be reimbursed and then start a plant-based diet. He did the plant-based diet and they couldn't stop him, which is an important distinction. Even if when the solution is obvious and it's obviously the best solution, it's not always the most profitable solution. So it won't be the one that governments will automatically gravitate towards, not without a lot of pressure. Not with the huge pharmaceutical industry saying, no, we kind of make our money off of poor people and sick people. Well, rich, sick people are the best, actually, because we could just get them as customers for life. And if you don't believe it, there's a memo from Goldman Sachs saying, oh, this gene editing where you can solve disease, it's not profitable. Don't invest in it because you don't want to solve diseases. You solve diseases, your customer goes away. You get customers when you can address a symptom and address it for the rest of that person's life. And there was a memo, open memo, sharing this information with Goldman Sachs and the pharmaceutical companies. And they're just so brazen, they don't even hide it anymore. But we have to pick up on those little cues and start changing things ourselves.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Wow.
That link I put was for something called Zinn Education Project. So it's the review of a book called Assassination of Fred Hampton. But I read a book, I guess it's 2 years ago now, of Howard Zinn's A People's History of the United States. And it's quite profound. It'll change the way you see everything. So he's got a website apparently that is teaching people's history, taking out all the heroic capitalism and so forth, and recognizing the racism, the colonialism that was just foisted upon, well, everybody, not just the people. I mean, we're all kind of victims of colonial thinking, even if we benefited from it for decades. And I suppose as a white male in North America, I have, but it's clear that I'm not anymore. This is past the pale of any sort of solution to continue this outdated, obsolete system that only benefits the elite, right? I have a position now that I can recognize that and try to convince other people that look like me to do the same, to recognize it. So Howard Zinn's a guy to look up, to get a new perspective on how a lot of these things that have happened. He also notes that Malcolm X and Martin Luther King were problems for the FBI, but they didn't really become that much of a target until they spoke out against the war in Vietnam and talked about class issues similar to what Fred Hampton were doing. And then they were killed.
It's interesting that the Wikipedia article, I know traditionally Wikipedia is not the best source for especially this type of thing. I just wanted to note that I was looking at it, and it acknowledges that this man was murdered, but that it was the local police that did it, not the CIA. It wasn't like a CIA hit job. I don't know if you can comment on that at all.
Well, we know that the FBI has admitted now that they killed Martin Luther King. So I mean, there's the pressures that cause somebody to do something, but there's usually the urgency comes from above.
Right.
And,
So it was like local police were helped probably by the CIA then.
Yeah, let me point out that the CIA is, legally not allowed to do anything on U.S. soil. So, and we're all should be clear that the U.S. government or any of its agencies would never do anything wrong.
The book in question is The Assassination of Fred Hampton, How the FBI and the Chicago Police Murdered a Black Panther. So I'm sure it gets into exactly how the pressure played out.
Yeah, see, that's different. There's nothing that prevents the FBI from acting on American soil, but the CIA is not allowed. Isn't it a crazy fucking world we live in? Oh my God. You gotta just poke a little fun at it once in a while, and we're just go crazy.
The big question is there's so few filters that make this world crazy. Just this worship of money in itself. If you remove that one thing, remove this capitalism that, well, at least this kind of unfettered capitalism that affects how we see how the world works. You remove that one thing, how does the world change? And it can change in profound ways. It's, that is the big barrier wall that holds back a lot of the solutions, very simple solutions to like what we know we need to do for climate change. Even in the old paradigm of climate change, where it's all about fossil fuels, there is such an obstacle to it because, hey, somebody's making money. Somebody's making money on this. And we have our leaders say things like, you expect us to leave barrels of oil in the ground when we have the infrastructure to take it out? That's like leaving money on the ground. You expect us to just leave money on the ground? And everybody goes, yeah, I guess you're right. I mean, the conversation's right out there. It's not even hidden. Do we take the money that's lying on the ground? That's not money lying on the ground. That's our environment, right? That's now working on a couple different levels. The damage that it does in the extraction process, and then again in the burning process. But so little ideas that you can remove. One of them is money. The other one is the idea of externalities. What if the oil industry had to clean up its own messes instead of us with our tax
There'd be no
payment?
profit. There'd be no profit.
And then they would stop saying it's money lying on the ground. It's a burden lying on the ground. Don't pick that up. You'll have to clean up after yourself.
Yeah, but you hit the nail on the head. If you have, decades, generations of family money tied up in oil infrastructure, you don't want to leave a drop in the ground.
Well, yeah, I'm in Canada and we kind of pride ourselves on resources, and it's kind of a gross attitude towards, wow, we've got a lot of nature, and our language is we've got a lot of water that we can use. We got a lot of trees that we can cut down. We got a lot of minerals that we can extract out of the ground. And our previous prime minister was born and bred in Alberta, is basically a supporter of the oil fields, and was totally a non-starter when it came to anything environmental. So we had him in power for 10 years. He got reelected twice, which is kind of scary thing to think about in Canada, though we don't have the two terms and you're done. But by the time that we had this election, he was quickly and roundly ousted and replaced with our current Justin Trudeau, who had such a low bar to beat on the environmental scale. And he went to the COP summit that year and talked a big game and said, no, not two degrees warming. Let's stop it at 1.5. And everybody's like, oh, Canada, yeah, we love you. And then since then, it's all been, oh, wait, you can't stop these pipelines. We have to build more infrastructure. We got to get our resources to market. And if you count the number of times he said resources to market and the number of times he said we've got to meet our climate targets, there's no comparison. I mean, he was buying the pipeline with our tax money. to make sure that it kept going. And I actually worked at this TV show. One of my producers was a member of Parliament's wife, and under the Trudeau, in the Liberal Party with Trudeau. And she was quite frank about it. She said that we're going to pay for the renewable energy grid using oil money. So we'll extract the resources and use that money to buy wind turbines and so forth, and build that economy, which would be okay plan if you had decades. But as soon as you realize you don't have decades, then it's a terrible plan.
You know, addressing exactly what you're saying, Ray, but this is going to seem like I'm shifting topics, but I'm not. By doing Food Healers and inspiring the world to follow LA's example, it's going to get us out of the scarcity mentality, right? Because those very choices that you're talking about are driven by scarcity. They're driven by fear that we're not going to have enough. Therefore, we need to make more money. As we liberate humanity from this scarcity mentality and the all-day monopoly game of endless hoarding, that we're gonna liberate our minds and hearts and our collective intelligence. I really think this is going to be what it's going to take to get the butterfly to emerge from the chrysalis. Food Healers. We got to feed the chrysalis in order for it to complete its evolutionary development and liberate it. This is all about liberation. Liberation from the all-day monopoly game of endless hoarding.
Yeah, and you can kind of think of that caterpillar as being the industrial revolution, that this industrial age that built all the rules of our society, and we're still following those. But are we in the industrial age? Nobody says we're in the industrial age. We understand we're in a different age. How come the rules haven't changed? Just because they've been handed down from generation to generation. And when you recognize all the problems with it that may have been, necessary, and just things like eating animals, was it ripe for a vegan revolution in 1900, in 1950? Not really, but now we're in this age of exponential problems. All the graphs are just starting to blow off the top of the roof. So the rules have to change. Yet we're still in caterpillar mode in the industrial age, and industrialists are the ones that are profiting from this obsolete system. And unfortunately, they have all the money. So when you have all the money, you can control what changes and what doesn't, until you can't. So hopefully we can get to that point pretty quick.
Yeah, absolutely. And the fossil fuel industry has a wonderful, amazing spin machine that they use. I remember watching a documentary on the shale oil from Alberta and how it was never worth mining, and how they developed technology, and now this wonderful, it's just like, I watched that and I thought that was a great documentary when I saw it. Obviously I know better now, but when I saw it, they made it sound so good. Like what a miracle of technology that now we can rape another part of the world.
I worked in a mine to get through school, and I grew up in a mining town. So you go back as a summer student to work in the mine, and they had lots of really cool machines there. You said the spinning machine. I was thinking of the different ways that they crush up the ore and separate them. They have flotation cells and conveyor belts. And I know for a fact that mine did not make a profit. For most of my life, we're living there. It probably the first 10 years or so, but after that, I know the mine was kept open as a Keep Jobs in Canada program. So everybody was subsidizing my summer job and everybody's full-time job to extract copper, which wasn't worth the effort it took to take out of the ground. And they separated from the zinc, which they stockpiled in mountains in case the price of zinc ever came back. So 20 years of maintaining a mine just because there was a town attached to it with only one industry. So eventually the mine eventually did close down. But this is now, you know, a dilemma that this was a good idea to keep this town going so that I would have a place to live. And my parents weren't miners, but they were school teachers and they taught miners kids. So it all kind of boils down to the same thing. So am I in a position where I have to say, well, I profited from the mining industry, so I have to sit down, shut up, and not talk about changing these things and stealing opportunity from kids in the future who might want to do crap jobs in a mine. But at $17 an hour in 1989, that's a pretty good price. A lot better than minimum wage.
Very good money in 1989.
But it never ever made sense to me that as soon as I heard that, well, this mine doesn't make any money. So explain the business sense to me. It doesn't. Why are we doing it?
Well, you know, part of it, and I'm not defending it, don't get me wrong, but part of the logic is if Canada has to buy its copper from Chile, right? It's, you know, then it's spending hard currency, right? You know, it's spending dollars basically, so it has to buy, you know, so versus even if it's producing copper at a loss, it can now export that and gain hard currency, gain dollars. So, you know, there's some other factors, and there's real value to keeping jobs. Again, I'm not defending it, just providing a little bit of perspective.
Mm-hmm. But there's this jobs at all cost mentality, and we see it rampant today. And I marched with 350.org, and their march was called Jobs, Justice, and the Planet. And I said, why is jobs first? I said, well, to get people's attention. They discount us because if we're not creating jobs, then we aren't saying anything of interest. Which, you know, that's pretty profound, because now you won't talk about agricultural solutions because that won't grow jobs.
Yeah.
It will not be profitable until you acknowledge the externalities of the industry. Right now, it's just something that.
And to, like Jamin did, you know, add a little more context and again, directly answer the question, why is this mine staying open if it's not making a profit? Well, the mine may not be making a profit, but I'll bet you the CEO and a couple, you know, higher up people in the company are making $1 million salaries, you know, more, you know, whatever. For them, it's still profitable because they have the highest, you know, crazy paid positions. So that's another reason, you know, the corruption, you know, if I can, you know, get tax dollars to supplement my $1 million salary in the name of jobs for the community, it's easy to sell.
There is also a town of significantly larger that would take the ore from our town, from our mine, and refine it. So there was another town that required this town to be in existence. But the writing was on the wall with the, you know, fiber optics, that copper wire just wasn't going to have any sort of market ever again. So rather than looking for some sort of an exit strategy, they just kind of plodded along from administration to administration. And if you're hired and rehired and reelected based on your performance for jobs, you know, forget all the good stuff you did, and heaven forbid you should do something good for the environment and it costs jobs, you're not getting hired back again. There's no amount of green glow from environmentalism that will get you rehired if you have a poor economic record, poor job. You didn't create jobs but lost them.
Yeah, I want to welcome back Jordan. Jordan, great to see you. We're recording. We've been talking quite a bit about food healers Prior to that, the Amazon. So anyway, rocking and rolling here. Wondering what happened. I'm gonna pause recording for a bit. We've been recording